We cannot ignore this reality. Our lives are riddled with holes and on the brink of collapse. Our problems are no longer local, accidental, or temporary. Our very foundation is flawed. The root upon which we all depend has gone awry. We have lost the underpinning of our existence. We have failed to establish the supreme goal of all goals, the ultimate principle of all principles, the loftiest belief from which all beliefs spring, and the definitive standard against which all standards are measured. Without an ultimate purpose, how do we choose a specific path in life? Without the highest principle, how do we establish specific principles and adhere to them unwaveringly? Without the loftiest belief and ultimate benchmark, how do we make judgments? How do we contemplate? How do we act? Without all of this, how can our lives not be characterized as blind, empty, and absurd? When the members of a society share this life attitude, how can society itself remain healthy? Unless we bring about fundamental changes, how can there be hope for this nation? So, it all comes down to one point. We lack genuine faith, which serves as the root of all our wickedness and ailments in today's world. The problems stemming from the moral decline of the Chinese people today, in my view, are even more severe than political and economic issues. When we address the issue of faith today, it is not about adding a superficial layer to our existing lives, but about conducting a comprehensive self-examination of our lives and embarking on a new way of living. In Gentio, the spiritual predicament of our era, a dialogue on the issue of faith. 一人类的起源 The origin of humanity. Xiefeng, translated by Tsong Long. Where do human beings come from? There have been some sayings. Pange created the heaven and earth. Nuwa created men using clay. In Chinese mythology, Pange and Nuwa are the god and goddess who created the world. Prometheus made men out of mud and stole fire from heaven for humans. Ram-headed god Khnum molded men from clay at a potter's wheel, and goddess Hecate breathed life into the new body, and they two together made new lives. God created man using clay according his own image. Celestials came to the earth. Human beings were created by aliens. Humans were evolved gradually from single-cell organisms. However, the most influential sayings are evolutionism and the story of how God created man in Bible. The awkwardness of evolutionism. Xiefeng, translated by Tsong Long. The awkwardness of evolutionism. According to the theory of evolution, humans were evolved from apes, and apes could possibly be evolved from rabbits, and rabbis from worms. Worms could be evolved from microbes. Microbes from single-cell organisms, which could possibly come into being by accidents in the sea, the vast, organic, and fertile soup. Evolution is the result of inheritance, mutation, and natural selection. Evolution is a slow and gradual process. Evolution is in accordance with the natural selection, the law of jungle and survival of the fittest. But is this really the truth? The process of one organism evolves to another organism is a very long process. A rabbit can't evolve to a monkey overnight. One seed, from germination, growth, flowering, fruiting to decline, there is a process. Any step of process could not be skipped. If we take picture of the seed every day, we will be able to see the slow and gradual process of its change. Evolutionism firmly believes that humans are evolved from apes. There must be a slowly changing process and some intermediates. That is to say, from an ape to a man, it should at least have some steps of intermediates. It is impossible that an ape will leap to a man. So where are those intermediates? What are they? In 1924, scientists found fossils which they called Australopithecus africanus, southern ape of Africa, near the famous diamond town, Kimberley, South Africa. Later, they found more Australopithecus boisé. It is also called Eastern African, Australopithecus afrensis, Australopithecus garhi, etc. Particularly, they think Java man was the intermediate between ape and human. Based on these facts, evolutionists self-deceivingly claimed that they had made great achievements. But please don't be too satisfied. Self-entertaining will not bring joys to others. According to the calculation based on molecular biology, it was between 4 and 5 million years ago when men and apes separated. So from 4 million years ago till the time of earliest historical records, how human beings evolved. Were there any processes or intermediates? If not, Does that mean evolution stopped at the stage? If yes, please show the evidence. Again, I want to ask evolutionists, which animal were apes evolved from? Can you please give us evidences too? How can you prove that the 4 million years old fossils you found are the ancestors of humanity? Just because their shapes look alike? Can you prove that chicken is the ancestor of swan because you found a few chicken bones? At the end of the 20th century, a large number of fossils were discovered in Chengjiang County, Yunnan Province, China. The research showed that today's diverse animals were actually appearing suddenly on the Earth, and it also proved the correctness of theory of Cambrian explosion, which happened 530 million years ago. The theory of Cambrian explosion says that over 90% of animal species were appearing suddenly in a moment, which is less than 1% time of the Earth developing history. It is like mushrooms growing everywhere along ditches and grasslands after an overnight drizzle, which is by no means a slow and gradual process. So do evolutionists still have any far-fetched explanations on this? Let me ask more. The obtuse angle of 3 congruent ROM at the bottom of a beehive is 109 degrees 28 minutes, and the acute angle is 70 degrees 32 minutes, which is the most economic and reasonable structure. So is this wisdom also from evolution? Rooster crowing, chick breaking its egg shell, bird migrating, spider webbing, eel discharging, chameleons changing skin color, weaver bird nestling, silkworm making cocoon, snail making shell, hound tracking, pigeon going home, etc. Do all these wisdom of animals and insects come from evolution? Let's make the conclusion by quoting the wisdom of Darwin, the originator of the theory of evolution. If it could be demonstrated that any complex organ existed which could not possibly have been formed by numerous, successive, slight modifications, my theory would absolutely break down. The birth of life Genuine has proved evolution theory has absolutely broken down. Evolutionism cannot prove the origin of humanity. Human beings were not evolved from animals at all. So, what about the sayings in Bible? Please read The Origin of Humanity too. The Awkwardness of Bible. Xiefeng. Translated by Tsong Long. There were records about the origin of humanity in the Genesis of Bible. 1:26 And God said, "Let us make man in our image, after our likeness. And let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth." 1:27 So God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them. 1:28 And God blessed them. And God said unto them, Be fruitful and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moveth upon the earth. 1:29 And God said, Behold, I have given you every herb bearing seed, which is upon the face of all the earth, and every tree, in the which is the fruit of a tree yielding seed. To you it shall be for meat. 1:30 And to every beast of the earth, and to every fowl of the air, and to everything that creepeth upon the earth, wherein there is life, I have given every green herb for meat. And it was so. 1:31 And God saw everything that he had made, and behold, it was very good. And the evening and the morning were the 6th day. 2:7 And the Lord God formed man of the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. 2:18 And the Lord God said, It is not good that the man should be alone. I will make him an helpmeet for him. 2:21 And the Lord God caused a deep sleep to fall upon Adam, and he slept. And he took one of his ribs, and closed up the flesh instead thereof. 2:22 And the rib, which the Lord God had taken from man, made he a woman, and brought her unto the man. 3:20 And Adam called his wife's name Eve, because she was the mother of all living. So is this how humans come into being? Let's still have a look of what Bible says. For 1 And Adam knew Eve his wife, and she conceived and bare Cain, and said, I have gotten a man from the Lord. For 2 And she again bare his brother Abel. And Abel was a keeper of sheep, but Cain was a tiller of the ground. For 3 And in process of time it came to pass, that Cain brought of the fruit of the ground an offering unto the Lord. For 4 And Abel, He also brought of the firstlings of his flock and of the fat thereof. And the Lord had respect unto Abel and to his offering. For 5, but unto Cain and to his offering he had not respect. And Cain was very wroth, and his countenance fell. For 6, and the Lord said unto Cain, Why art thou wroth? And why is thy countenance fallen? For 7, if thou doest well, shalt thou not be accepted? And if thou doest not well, sin lieth at the door. And unto thee shall be his desire, and thou shalt rule over him. For 8, and Cain talked with Abel his brother. And it came to pass, when they were in the field, that Cain rose up against Abel his brother, and slew him. For 9, and the Lord said unto Cain, Where is Abel thy brother? And he said, I know not. Am I my brother's keeper? For 10, and he said, What hast thou done? The voice of thy brother's blood crieth unto me from the ground. For 11, and now art thou cursed from the earth, which hath opened her mouth to receive thy brother's blood from thy hand. For 12, when thou tillest the ground, it shall not henceforth yield unto thee her strength. A fugitive and a vagabond shalt thou be in the earth. For 13, and Cain said unto the Lord, My punishment is greater than I can bear. For 14, behold, thou hast driven me out this day from the face of the earth, and from thy face shall I be hid, and I shall be a fugitive and a vagabond in the earth. And it shall come to pass, that every one that findeth me shall slay me. For 15, and the Lord said unto him, Therefore whosoever slayeth Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. And the Lord set a mark upon Cain, lest any finding him should kill him. For 16, and Cain went out from the presence of the Lord, and dwelt in the land of Nod, on the east of Eden. So, we have a question on the above records. Adam and Eve are the ancestors of humans. Cain and Abel are the first two sons of Adam and Eve. At that time, there should not be anybody else exist on the earth except Adam's family. So why Cain was worrying, everyone that findeth me shall slay me? Who were going to find him? If what Bible recorded is true, there must be some other men exist except Adam's family, and they must had long existed before Adam's family. Otherwise, Cain would not say, Every one that findeth me shall slay me. So if there lived other humans, and they were not descendants of Adam and Eve, back then, Adam and Eve only had two sons, and Abel was killed by Cain. We can say Adam and Eve are not the ancestors of all human beings, and what Bible recorded is only the story of origin of Israelite people. Bible only recorded the origin of the Middle East people, and not that of all human beings. So where do human beings come from? Please read The Origin of Humanity 3. The Prelude. Xiefeng. Translated by Tsong Long. We have known how the universe and the greatest creator came into being. I have proven the existence of the greatest creator in the chapters of The Greatest Creator, using 40 natural phenomena and 8 logical reasonings. But what did the greatest creator do after his birth? Wuji generates Taiji. Taiji generates two complementary forces. These two forces are unity of opposites. That is to say, after Taiji, the creator, was born, division of energy started to happen within Wuji. Where the energy is low, it comes into forms. Therefore, the celestial bodies of universe began to emerge one by one. Space started to expand infinitely. Where the energy is high, things exist with no form. Just like the black holes in the universe, they are invisible. When some celestial bodies first appeared, their movement were random and disordered. There were no solar system, Milky Way system, nor low rotary galaxy system and rotary river galaxy system. To ensure everything run in order, the greatest creator needs someone to take care of the universe. It is like a person borrowed a large sum of money from bank in order to establish a big business. He need to recruit some people to take the responsibilities of purchasing, manufacturing, production, internal management, and sales, etc. Same, the greatest creator also needs someone to help him finish the project of creating the universe. Then how did he manage the universe? He started to make gods. What is God? God is the helper of the greatest creator. Then how did the greatest creator make God? We know that the greatest creator is the energy core and nerve center of the universe. He used his almighty consciousness generating powerful energy to squeeze some regional energy, which then became many independent energy groups. The center of these groups formed a special structure. After the structure was strengthened with the power of the energy, a consciousness was born. These consciousness entities are gods. The process is similar as making bricks and kilns. We use loosened soil, added with appropriate chemicals, put them into kilns to calcine. After this process, the loosened soil become hard bricks. If we put the soil and chemicals in a vessel that can't be destroyed by any powerful energy, and then calcine them using very high energy, the soil mixed with chemicals will form a special structure and will further produce consciousness. A new life will be born. How many gods has the greatest creator made? Many. Each god has his own independent consciousness, but their energy level is far lower than that of the greatest creator. Therefore, gods have to obey the greatest creator. What is the energy level of a god? It depends on the size of the energy ball used to create that particular god. Some gods have very high energy, some have very small energy. However, even the god with the smallest energy is more powerful than any one of the visible celestial bodies. The energy of sun is very high, but the total energy of the sun is less than that of the least powerful god. The black holes, all over the universe we know, are actually gods. When the greatest creator finished making gods, he ordered them to form universes. For example, the universe where the earth lives is charged by many gods, black holes. Among them, the two biggest gods are Jesus and Satan. That is to say, Earth universe are managed by Jesus and Satan. Earth universe includes 3,000 rotary river systems, 9 million Milky Way systems, 27 billions of solar system. Jesus and Satan are two opposite gods, but they are unity. Jesus stands for the sincere, kind, and beautiful. Satan stands for the false, evil, and ugly. Jesus stands for light. Satan stands for dark. Jesus stands for the ordinary. Satan stands for the extraordinary. Jesus stands for the weak. Satan stands for the strong. When gods were created, the universe was still not vibrant enough. It was quiet and deserted, and gods felt bored and lonely. Therefore, they asked the greatest creator to create more lives to make the universe noisy and vital. He agreed and then created many new lives using smaller energy balls. These new lives are the angels, which are so called in Judaism, Christianity, Catholicism, and Islam. Angels are the lives whose energy level is lower than God's, and they are managed and dominated by God. They are also the messengers and helpers of God. They assist gods to manage everything in their own universe. Angels have their own characters. They can move freely in any time and space. The appearance of angels made the universe very lively and vibrant. The universe can be described as orioles sing and swallows dart, bustling with noise and excitement. But the problem after that is because Jesus and Satan stand for two opposite sides. They are evenly matched but have contrasting views, which eventually led angels divide into two parties. One follows the viewpoint of Jesus, the other follows Satan. The former is just the Buddha we always know from Buddhism. The latter is the celestial described in Chinese Taoism. Buddha is angle. In Chinese word, Buddha is fu stands for not, dan stands for human. So Buddha means a human who is not human. They actually have supernatural power and are able to appear in any forms. They can create life, move mountains, and turn over the sea. They can change the visible to invisible, the invisible to visible. They can survive in a vacuum and move freely in many spaces without the constraints of time. The headquarter of Buddha is what we call paradise, which is also the Elysium I mentioned in 36-dimensional spaces. Celestial is also angel. From the structure of Chinese word Shan, we can reason that they are a group of human who like to travel around, enjoy nature, and love fun. They have the same level of power and ability as what Buddha have, however. Although Buddha look peaceful, they are arrogant and always want to excel over others, while celestials are gentle, pure, fun-loving, behaving the same as what they look like. To know more about how human beings were created, please read The Origin of Humanity 4. Celestials Creating Human. Xiefeng. Translated by Tsong Long. In order to demonstrate its power, under the permission of the greatest creator, 4.5 billion years ago, Jesus led hundreds of millions celestials start the project of creating solar system. They first created the Earth, then the Sun and other planets in the solar system. They made very careful calculation and design on the size, position, rotary speed of the Sun and the Earth. After that, Jesus sent near 100 million celestials come to the earth with the identity of intelligent beings. They started large scale of creation on the earth. The water, air, and most green vegetation and grazing animals are the creations of those celestials. Microbes were self-created as the result of water and photosynthesis. This process, from beginning to the end, lasted for nearly 2.3 billion years. Before animals were created, there was no moon. When the first group of animals were created, celestials found that if they left Earth, animals could not survive without ebb and flow, wind, cloud, rain, and snow. Therefore, they built two big smelters at places not far from where is now Cairo, Egypt, and the Atlantis. It is now located at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean, and made many airships, UFO, using the special smelted metals, and sent the animals they created to everywhere on the Earth. At the meantime, they used these airships to transport smelted metals to a space station. They then created a huge hollow ball with a rough surface, silver, and reflecting. This huge ball is the moon we refer to today. 1 billion years ago, the night on the Earth was very bright. Later, because the dust from universe continuously dropped on the moon, it was no longer as bright as before. The UFOs we occasionally saw are not from outer space, they are from the center of the moon, which is a huge warehouse. It stores many tools which had been used by celestials. UFO is also one of the tools. There is a door on the moon. It can be opened at any time. There is a giant palace under the mysterious Bermuda Triangle that is the temporary lodge for the visiting celestials. Celestials can remotely control UFOs in the warehouse of the moon to monitor the Earth according to their needs. The Earth of 200 million years ago was very beautiful and prosperous. The place where Sahara Desert currently is located had many green mountains and a dense growth of green trees. Birds were twittering, flowers were blossoming. It was once the most beautiful places for green plants and animals. Celestials used to love singing, dancing, and playing on the Earth, and they were so enjoying it and almost forgot their home. Unfortunately, the happy scene didn't last long. The happiness of celestials provoked the anger of Satan. In order to show that he had superior power, he sent another group of Buddhas to the Earth 250 million years ago and started to create flies, mosquitoes, bugs, rats, scorpions, centipedes, snakes, and predators in large scale to let these animals fight with the creations of celestials. Moreover, they even appeared in the form of dinosaur, destroyed the plants and animals all over the world out of jealousy. This inharmonious situation made the greatest creator very sad. At about 130 million years ago, he destroyed all dinosaurs by applying one kind of plague and put all their souls in the prison of the cathode black hole. Unfortunately, there were a pair of smart dinosaurs hid under the bottom of East China Sea and were able to survive. They kept dormant underwater for nearly 100 million years. In about 1,600,000 years ago, in order not to let the Earth become idle, the greatest creator designed a life structure himself, which is the draft version of current humans. He then gave the design paper to Jesus and led him to implement. The helpers of Jesus, celestials, started to make new lives according to this design. In order to receive the energy of the greatest creator sending from the universe, also to accumulate energy for creating this special new life and speed up the process, they built many laboratories in the place where now is Egypt. These laboratories are exactly the well-known pyramids of Egypt. Because of the lack of experience and some steps were missed, the first lives they made were monkeys, and then after were apes. Of course, this wouldn't please the greatest creator, so they continued testing and making. The first group of human they successfully made are the black men in Africa, and the second group are native Indians in America. The third are the white men in Europe, Egypt, and North Africa. When they finished producing 3 groups of human, they started to evacuate, and in order to avoid Satan creating difficulties again, they destroyed everything around the pyramids before they left, which is also why Sahara is a desert today. But where do most people in Middle East come from except Egyptian? They are the descendants of Adam and Eve, is what says in Bible. They were created by another God. This God knew that his rival started to create humans on earth. He created a secret Garden of Eden in about 7,000 years ago at Jerusalem and made Adam and Eve. After they were created, he destroyed the Eden to avoid the attention of his rival. This is why Cain was afraid that everyone that findeth me shall slay me. Who was he afraid of? The humans created by another god. This is why his God still protected him, even Cain killed his brother. Whosoever slayeth Cain, vengeance shall be taken on him sevenfold. So today's conflicts between Israelite and Palestinian are actually the conflicts between brothers and our family affairs. And let's now talk about East Asian and Southeast Asian. They were not created by any god at all. They were the embodiments of dinosaur. At about 7,500 years ago, when the pair of dinosaur knew that celestials created human on the earth, they sneaked from the sea and changed into human form, started to propagate along the Yellow River, and the descendants gradually spread all over Asia. One of the groups went upwards, crossed the Pamirs to India. They want to mingle with the descendants of Adam and Eve to avoid the punishment of the greatest creator again. This is why Chinese people always say, China is the hometown of dragon, and Chinese are the descendants of dragon. This is also why Buddhism originated from India, but blossomed in East Asia and Southeast Asia. Why it didn't become popular in India? The ancestors of Sakyamuni went to India from Yellow River. When they arrived at India, they found that their consciousness was not compatible with that of the descendants of Adam and Eve, and had to find new home. Because in their subconsciousness, there's a very deep call, that is to go home. Which home? The Elysium, before they came to Earth. Sakyamuni found he came from Elysium after his enlightenment. Although he had a blurry picture of his home, he still remembered something. Once this subconsciousness was awakened, he decided to be engaged in the cause of preaching to other descendants, and shifted the focus to the east led by of his subconsciousness. That's also why Bodhidharma came to China to preach Buddhism. Because Indian people were designed by a different creator, they were reluctant to accept the theory of Buddhism because of the absence of the memory in their subconsciousness. That's also why, although Buddhists had made great efforts, it still failed in India. However, in East and Southeast Asia, people had the instinct sense of the existence of other dimensional spaces. It is quite easy for them to resonate with the theory of Buddhism. Once they accept it, it is rooted and lingers in their mind. The state, vague and intangible, which Taoism pursues and the Elysium world Buddhism pursues are something rooted in the subconsciousness of the yellow race. They feel and believe the existence of the space that is hard to explain. In fact, the space where the yellow race yearning for is the place where the dinosaur had lived in 10,000-year world and Elysium world. Therefore, even after 10 million years, the message is still embedded in the genetic structure of the yellow men. East and Southeast Asian tend to cultivate Buddha and celestial. It is driven by their inner voice. Although some people accept the theory of Bible, it is not an acceptance out of their heart, but a rational act. People of other races are very easy to believe in God, but quite reluctant to accept Buddhism and Taoism. Some people might believe in Buddhism and Taoism, but it is just a blind pursuit of mysterious phenomena. They are impossible to reach the state of resonance of soul. Then, what is the truth of the Great Flood in Noah's time? First, I want to explain something. Before the Great Flood, human beings had been through extinction already. The humans created 16 million years ago were very strong and tall. They were cruel and very aggressive. They maltreated animals and were very greedy. They didn't even respect the greatest creator, not to mention gods and Buddhas. The city of Maya, ancient Egypt, and Atlantis were their activity centers. They had the power of God, Buddha, and celestial, but were lack of their virtue. They always went to 10,000-year world and Elysium world to make troubles, and did whatever they wanted to do, which had become a big threat to the order of the universe. Finally, the greatest creator had to order some gods destroy the city of Maya, ancient Egypt, and Atlantis in one night. Only left some weak and less intelligent humans on the earth to continue the propagation of the human species. In order to comfort these men, the greatest creator created another planet which is even more beautiful, 960 light years from the earth. It is the 1,000-year world. The greatest creator told these people, if they behave well and don't make trouble, they would be able to go to 1,000-year world to enjoy happier life after death. However, these humans started to forget the warning when the population grew to large numbers and its civilization advanced. They began to ignore the greatest creator and thought he was nothing special. At about 4,700 years ago, humans on the earth thought that they were able to manage the earth themselves without the help of the greatest creator and gods. They ignored their teachings and insisted their own will. Their pursuit of physical and material comfort far exceeded the pursuit of spiritual growth, which had caused moral degeneracy and the advancement of brute. It strongly destroyed the harmonious atmosphere of the earth. Moreover, the two gods managing the earth had different ethics, thus fought with each other, which made the greatest creator so angry that he turned around the earth's dip angle. Huge storms poured down. It lasted for 40 days and nights and drowned most humans and animals. The evil act of humans were then curbed. But after the Great Flood, Noah's family were not the only men survived. There were survivors all over the world. This can be verified in many Chinese historical records. The story of Diu flood control is a hard fact. There is also detailed narration in the legends of the Indian tribe Mandan, North Dakota, America. This is the outline of the origin of human beings. 二人类的意义 The purpose of humanity. Xiefeng, translated by Tsong Long, is the purpose of humanity only for survival? Are humans the most intellectual animals in the universe? Does the existence or the disappearance of humankind have any influence on the universe? We know from the chapter, The Greatest Creator, that there is purpose for any life beings in the universe. Nothing exists for no purpose. Solar system and everything included are to serve humanity, while humanity is to serve the greatest creator and indirectly to serve gods. The greatest creator created the universe, gods, Buddhas, and celestials. God sent celestials to create humans under the authorization of the greatest creator. Therefore, the meaning of humanity is to live for its creator, gods, and the greatest creator. The greatest creator created numerous gods assist him manage the universe to ensure it is running in order. God is the assemblage of high energy. God only has godhood, but doesn't have playful and naughty character. They can't bring joy to the greatest creator, so the greatest creator created many angels, celestials, and Buddhas. Let them travel freely in the universe to brighten up the atmosphere of the universe. Although celestials and Buddhas were created by the greatest creator, they are on a lower energy level and are dominated and influenced by the God in its respective universe. The celestials coming to Earth 250 million years ago, and the Buddhas coming to Earth 200 million years ago were the result of the influence. There are three origins for the human on Earth. The black men in Africa, American Indian, Egyptian, white men in North Africa and Europe were made by one God. Israelite, Palestinian, Iranian, Afghans, Iraqi, Turk, Syrian, Jordanian, Lebanese, Saudi Arabian, and most Indian were created by another God. Chinese, Mongolian, Japanese, Korean, and the people in Southeast Asia are the descendants of dinosaur. No matter where we come from, we are equal in the sight of the greatest creator. But in the sight of gods, there is big difference. The antagonism among gods is reflected evidently on humans. We can see that from rivalries among Judaism, Christianity, Catholicism, Islam, and Buddhism. The people of Judaism, Christianity, and Islam are originally from the same source, however, because the Israelite can't get along with their fellow, and instead made good friends with the people from other origins, which had caused their God to create Islam. Muhammad created Islam based on the revelation of his God in opposition to the Israelite and other people. The Israelites should stand together with Muslims, but they betrayed their God and went to join the men created by another God. In the end, they were not only not accepted but also persecuted by those men, while their brothers, Muslims, refused to accept them either. This is the root cause why the Israelite were persecuted in World War II and still fight with Palestinians till today. The ideology of Buddhism is completely different from that of Christianity and Islam. To survive, Christianity and Islam have to compete. However, Buddhism advocates not fighting. Even die without descendants to leave this world of disputes and go back home to enjoy free life. The reason why Japanese disturbed Asia in World War II, even fought with USA, is not the problem of Buddhas, but the punishment by God to Buddhas. We know that East and Southeast Asian are the offspring of dinosaur, dragon. They are the embodiments of Buddha. They used to be the followers of God Satan, but because of that great plague, they realized that no matter which god they follow, they could be faced another calamity one day. So the best choice for them is to self-cultivate and go back to the Elysium world. This thought and behavior had provoked the discontentment of their god. So he punished the descendants of dinosaur at the same time he punished the Israelite. Moreover, Taoism, a category of Buddhism pursuing only skill, not way, emerged in the process of propagation of Buddhism. Taoism is a school of religion which looks peaceful from the surface, close the door for the world outside, and form its own system. But deep inside, Taoists are very competitive. When they are at a weak position, they pretend to be humble, but when opportunity comes, they will stand out to show off their power. Japanese Shintoism also has the similar character. Human beings on Earth come from three completely different origins, and the ideological polarity was a historical issue. However, this was not what the greatest creator wanted to see. Jesus came down in form of human body with a mission given by the greatest creator. He was born in the Satan-made Israelite. When he criticized the Pharisees and religious leaders by showing his miraculous power, he also taught people to love each other and said all nations should be united. He asked people put their hope on the greatest creator and make the earth a paradise as the greatest creator wishes, the kingdom of the greatest creator. St. Paul is a very good example transformed by Jesus' teaching. Today, all people around the world gradually come to surrender to Jesus. They are in fact walking on the way guided by Jesus. Now we know that the purpose of humanity is to serve the greatest creator. We are not alone in the universe. Except human beings, there are angels, celestials, and Buddhas. And there are gods above angels, and the greatest creator above gods. Humanity have been through hardships since its birth. Today's world is not an easy gain. We need to be grateful to the greatest creator and live in accordance with the teachings of gods. Any arrogant behavior will lead to more sufferings and even the destruction of human beings. 三人类的作用 The role of humanity. 写法 Translated by Tsong Long. The greatest creator loves humans because we were designed by him. Among all life beings, celestials are his most favorite, and the next is human. Therefore, we have three responsibilities. To please the greatest creator. To maintain unity of opposites of the God world. Gods are also the children of the greatest creator. There is no good or bad God. Each God has its own role to play. It is up to the greatest creator to judge their merits and demerits. To build and beautify earth. Building and beautifying earth is the responsibility and the indispensable obligation of humanity. Maintaining ecological balance, purifying air, rivers, and land are the jobs must be shouldered by humans. We must not shirk our responsibilities just because we are taken care by the greatest creator. It is just like kids must learn to be independent and help themselves. They must know rely on the parents for everything. 四人类的过去和现在 The past of humanity. 写法 Translated by Tsong Long. The past of humanity is a history of sufferings, a history of fights and conflicts. The past of humanity is a history of bewilderment, a history of manifestation of animal instincts. The past of humanity is a history of selfishness, a history of survival of the fittest. The past of humanity is a history of chaos, a history of giants competing for powers, religions competing for position. The past of humanity is a history of wickedness, a history that is not worthy of remembering and emulation. The current situation of human being. Although there are regional extremes, humanity in general has been away from barbarism and ignorance, and on its way to be more rational. While in some places there are still superstitious forces, but scientific developments have made the majority realize that superstition is the source of barbarism and ignorance, and the vital cause of social turbulence. There were some major superstitions. Fanatical belief in religion. They think the religion they believe is the only right one, and others are evil. However, in fact, each religion has its own blindness and a side of suppression of human nature. Fanatical belief in any religion is the result of an emotional choice, not rational. As long as religions exist, the light of human nature is not able to shine, and humanity is not able to get out of barbarism and ignorance, and war is unavoidable. The suffering of humanity will not be possible to end. Frantic worship of the great. Every country has its own great men and its own founding heroes. They made immoral achievements in elimination of old forces. They are worthy to be respected. But if they are worshipped as God and the Savior, a vicious cycle will begin to form, and humans will be dragging into another round of suffering. It is all right to worship a great man, but if it is over a limit, it becomes a mania. Mania is a mental illness, and it is also a new form of barbaric ignorance which will inevitably lead to destruction and repression of human nature. Blindly follow a theory or academic conclusion. The development of things is progressing in a form of wave. Any theory or academic conclusion is a symbol of development from the perspective of current time and space. However, they are not perfect and are not able to cover the comprehensive contents and its extended meanings. They are not the ultimate truth. If we follow them blindly, our thoughts will be bound, and therefore new thoughts and theories are not able to emerge. We will hardly see the situation of 100 of flowers blossom, 100 of schools of thought contend, which will eventually lead to the twist of human nature and stop the progress of human civilization. Nationalism. Needless to say, each nation has its unique advantages, just like different fruits and melons having their own taste and degree of sweetness. If watermelon and peach think they are the best, and all other fruits are useless, a monomode will be taking shape. This is an extremely overbearing behavior. National pride and sense of superiority is evil, not the manifestation of one's divinity at all. The stronger the feeling, the more discrimination and barriers it will cause among nations. As a result, human nature starts to fall. Nationalism is another form of superstition. Worship of masters. There are some extraordinary and distinctive people in the history of each nation. We call them master because they have a unique viewpoint, foresight, wisdom, or possess a unique quality. It is quite reasonable we respect and call them master, but if we worship them, it becomes an infectious virus, a superstition. We see the magnificence of the universe from many twinkling stars in the sky. A nation is great if talents come out in succession. Any master is like a shining star of that time. If we regard him as a sun and keep on revolving around him, the brilliancy of other stars will be covered, and the nation will not have a successor. Blind faith and following. Seek after extraordinary. A man can only be a man as long as he has a human DNA, body. He can't be God or something else. We can't deny that life beings in other time and space could be reincarnated to human world. That is because they are bestowed by the greatest creator special abilities, wisdom, and mission, which is something embodied in their DNA. These abilities and wisdom are far beyond any ordinary person can reach. As one of general public, we can only follow natural law and don't need to seek after extraordinary. If a potato wants to become a tomato, a red date wants to become a walnut, it is not only unnecessary, but also impossible. We will be on the way of devil if we are determined to possess supernatural power. For example, in the last 2 decades, the popularity of one after another gong exercise is a form of superstition and has wasted time, energy, and talents of many wise men, who fall into a mud of self-anesthetizing and self-deceiving and can't get out from it, eventually lose their way. Worship of gods and ghosts. Communicating with spirit world. This is a fundamental superstition. As far as human beings are concerned, there are only 2 gods, Jesus and Satan, and no other gods. If there are more, they are made up by men. Humans are not eligible to title someone as God and then worship him. This is a typical superstition. As for ghosts, as long as we show no interest, they will not bother. It is not necessary to ask God to drive away ghosts. Advertising ghosts in movies, books, or verbal communication is a historical retrogression and a wicked act incompatible with modern civilization. The sayings and behaviors of communicating with spirit world are destructing human nature. They are also negation of human beings. Spirit world does exist, but not for current human beings to communicate with. The man who can really communicate with spirit world must be a man with perfect human nature. Otherwise, the communication is not authentic, or it goes astray. Other superstitions. There are a variety of other numberless superstitions, which are the trash descending from human history. If I criticize them here one by one, many people would not accept it emotionally. However, these superstitions will surely be out of sight and disappear as science and human civilization develops. The past of humanity is a time ruled by religion and superstition. The present of humanity is a time of science combined with religion and superstition. The future of humanity will be a time of science and religion mixing together under the light of ration. 五、人类目前面临的危机 V. Current crises faced by humanity. Xiefeng. Translated by Tsong Long. The crises faced by humanity has been long-standing. There had been warnings in Bible, Quran, and the Book of Earth Mother of Buddhism. In recent 20 years, many scientists, ideologists, and spiritual leaders have all sensed the crises faced by humanity are getting more and more serious. They can be summarized as follows. Water resource shortages and pollution, food shortages, rapid population growth, air pollution, widespread of strong virus, leakage of nuclear facilities, desertification, endangered species, ecological imbalance, greenhouse effect, ozone depletion, competition of nuclear weapons, etc. There are also some people have foreseen the culture crisis, ethic crisis, and belief crisis. All the above crises are only the crises on surface, and they are not the core crisis. The core crisis faced by humanity is the crisis of the soul. All the above crises result from the crisis of the soul. If we only focus on the superficial but ignore the core, it is impossible to resolve them. The crises will become even more severe, which would end up with humanity extinction and earth destruction. Only very few enlightened people can sense some other crises like race extinction and religious virus. Others like the crisis of disappearance of a city in one night, and a beam of wave causing the death of billions of people in a few minutes will definitely not be understood and conceived by ordinary people. The core crisis of humanity is the crisis of the soul. Humans can hear, listen, smell, taste, and sense spiritually because they have eyes, ears, nose, tongue, body, and consciousness. However, humans are losing spiritual sense. The results of failing to have spiritual sense are not able to feel the existence of the greatest creator, not able to feel the existence of the God, Buddha, or celestials, not able to feel the existence of 36-dimensional spaces, not able to feel the existence of the non-material and negative universe, do not understand the concept of horizontal time. Too much trust on scientific findings, and atheism becomes popular. Do not believe the law of cause and effect. Do not realize the magic of consciousness. Do not believe reincarnation. Self-centered and arrogant. If a man loses the spiritual sense, he loses spirituality. And as a result, he will not be able to have a perfect human nature. His thoughts are prisoned in three-dimensional space. Does not acknowledge the regularity and certainties. Does not believe the law of cause and effect. Does not believe reincarnation. Believe the theory of evolution, law of jungle, and survival of the fittest. Only value short-term interests and ignore long-term consequences. Rotten morals and falling humanity. Lack of gratitude. A man who loses spiritual sense will be just like a black hole, only absorb stuff in but never contribute. Moreover, he is like a virus, which only does destruction to the surrounding environment. The above statements have shown that the core crisis of human being is the crisis of soul, and it is the root cause of why one cannot have a happy and free life. His thoughts are prisoned in three-dimensional space. He believes that Earth is the only habitat for human beings, and completely denies the existence of other spaces, and regards any other doctrines or theories he is not able to understand as superstitions or fallacies, and blocks the way for human beings to pursue other higher dimensional spaces. Does not acknowledge the regularity and certainties. He sees many phenomena as accidents, and doesn't realize that all natural disasters are caused by unconsciousness. Does not believe the law of cause and effect. He attaches too much weight on win and loss, uses any means to achieve the goal, and ignores the effects that will cause in later lifetimes. Does not believe reincarnation. He thinks that death is the end of life. So does anything as she pleases without conscience, and regards fame, wealth, and power as the symbols of a successful life. Apply the theory of evolution in human society. Believe law of jungle, survival of the fittest. He stops nothing to achieve his goal, which may include making miseries to other people, polluting rivers, bullying the kind, lying, and deceiving. Only value short-term interests and ignore long-term consequences. Use competition as primary means to promote social development, therefore, making nuclear and biological weapons, frantically developing heavy industries that damage environment, predatory exploitation of resources, and treating all people as potential rivals or enemies. Rotten morals and falling humanity. He does not respect God, Buddha, saints and sages, and does not respect his teacher, father, and brother. He is violent, used to cheat, and not shameful of his behaviors. Lying, bullying the weak, abusing women, killing people. He does all evils. Just like what described in the ancient Chinese book Tractate of the Most High One on Actions and Consequences, Tai Sangan Ying Pan, the crimes of the wicked. Sometimes there is someone who behaves without righteousness and moves against rationality, who defrauds ignorant and naive people, vilifies one's schoolmates, employs lies, fraud, espionage, plots, sting operations, and entrapment against others, who slanders and criticizes one's extended and immediate family members maliciously, who is cruel, irrational, and self-willed, who oppresses those below him and claims their merit for himself, but cringes before those above him to win their favor, who has no feeling for favors received, but harbors endless resentment, who rewards those irrelevant with righteousness, but punishes the innocent, who slays people to take their wealth and overthrows people to occupy their positions, who slays captives and slaughters those who surrender, who denigrates the righteous and expels the wise, who wrongs orphans and coerces widows, who ignores the law and receives bribes, who takes the straight as crooked and the crooked as straight, who knowing his faults does not correct them, and knowing the good does not do it, who prays for people's misfortunes, wishes people to encounter disaster, destroys people's success, sullies people's innocence, pilfers people's harvests, masks people's good and kind deeds, and who generate hatred and resentment if desires are not fulfilled, etc. A moral person with spirituality knows he should revere the greatest creator and walk on the way of the greatest creators, and is aware of his weakness as a human, so he will not be arrogant. He realizes he should cultivate himself, and knows he needs to take care of, cherish, respect, and love Mother Nature, its resources, and all life beings. He will never leave the wastewater of factories, mines, hospitals, and cities to rivers, streams, and lands. He will never hunt and eat the meat of wild animals. He will never destroy forests, mountains, and grasslands. He will never indulge in power, money, beauty, and let his greed expand, not even use any means to satisfy his evil desires. He will never use his power to serve his own or his family's interests, nor bully or suppress others. He will never sell fake or shoddy goods. He will never steal other person's research findings to gain fame for himself. He will never make life-threatening nuclear weapons and biological weapons. He will never provoke conflicts among people to profit from it. He will never suppress any new ideas, new cultures, or new values. Lack of gratitude. In his heart, there is no place for the greatest creator, gods, parents, elders, the society, other people. He only demands and is not willing to give. Even a plant bears fruits as long as we water and fertilize it. A chicken produces eggs as long as we feed it. A dog will be a good safeguard of our home as long as it has been taken good care. A man who loses spiritual sense will be just like a black hole, only absorb stuff in but never contribute. Moreover, he is like a virus, which only does destruction to the surrounding environment. The above statements have shown that the core crisis of human being is the crisis of soul, and it is the root cause of why one cannot have a happy and free life. If we look Earth from a height of 1,000 meters and focus on the cities of the world, we will find the survival situation of human beings is just like a group of ants on a hot pot, running around hastily. You don't know where these ants are going to. They just follow their senses with no purposes. They move quickly all together once they spot an animal corpse or a drop of oil. They follow where the trend is. If you ask one of the ants, "Why are you so busy every day? Where do you rush for?" His answer will be, "I'm looking for something to eat, drink, and a place to live. As for where to go, I will go wherever I can find food, drinks, and a place to live." The secular world is just like an animal world. Some people stand themselves out, But where do they go after they get out? They go to religions. All religions, whether it is good or evil, they are made of people who have spiritual pursuit. A real disciple of any religion is superior, in spiritual aspect, to any kings or great men. So we can say, all people in secular world are sleeping and people in religion are awake. The formers do not have spiritual direction as the latters do. However, with the development of science and the growth of human wisdom, many people in religion start to confuse and are not able to tell the direction. Many disciples are like gamblers. They stake all their energy and wisdom on the religion they belong to. Although they know that they can't win back what they have lost, they want to keep gambling. They even want to persuade others to gamble with them to feel psychologically balanced. Just like the fox that has lost his frozen tail on the ice, he has lost the tail. He has been laughed at and left alone by other foxes. He also knows that he doesn't look good without a tail, but in order to comfort himself, he tries to persuade others that a fox without a tail is the most beautiful fox, and others are all fools if they don't cut their tails. People always have an illusion. They think truth lies where the crowds are. Otherwise, why so many people go there? People always have an illusion. They think those religions or organizations that are strong and powerful can point to a place with real happiness. Otherwise, how it can grow so big? People always have an illusion. They think wherever celebrities or intellectuals go must have a promising future, because these smart men will not go for and praise something blindly. However, when they are out, they want to get in. Once they get in, accept bewilderment, blindly following. And some shackles they put on themselves, the only thing left they can do is waiting and hoping with a fluke mind. What are they hoping for? 六人类的未来. 6. The future of humanity. Xiefeng. Translated by Tsong Long. We all look forward to an era where everyone will have a happy and worry-free life. Let's suppose the greatest creator and gods do not exist. Are we able to realize this dream only by relying on the wisdom of humanity? The answer is no. Without the guide of the greatest creator and the power of gods and Buddhas, human beings is not possible to realize this beautiful dream. How many authorities will step aside for others? How many rich men will contribute all their wealth to society? How many poor people will work hard except having more children as long as they don't need to worry about food? Let's imagine if the future of humanity is ruled by one religion. What will happen? It would be terrible. Please think of the reason yourself. If the world is ruled by one secular government, what will happen? Same. Autocracy and incompetency will soak up the blood of the underprivileged. If we keep current situation, different religions exist. Countries act on their own will. Everything is decided by the country itself. What will happen? The world is going to collapse. So, what will be the best living situation of humanity? The core in short is, walk on the way of the greatest creator. Build a non-interference government, promoting freedom in politics, economy, culture, thinking, and spiritual pursuit. Then, the future of humanity will be like the following. All religions will gradually disappear. Humans revere the same and the only greatest creator. Wars between nations will no longer take place. No country will have a military force. The leaders of each country are elected by its people. Election is no longer manipulated by the minority. Each leader serves no longer than 2 terms. The population will no longer be increasing unlimitedly. The growth of population will be controlled. Power and wealth are no longer the most important life goals of humans. People will not talk about how to fight with nature and men. The earth will become a place where all life beings coexist harmoniously. Terrorist activities are going to disappear. Crimes will be decreasing year by year. The care of elders and the education of the youth will become the responsibilities of the whole society, which are no longer private affairs of individuals or families. Family life is going to dissolve. Relationship of men and women is going to show diverse forms. Scientists and artists will be respected by the general. Manual labor is not regarded as a less decent job. A common bill of rights will be made. Journalists will have greater freedom. The force of darkness in some regions will be curbed. A lazy person will be regarded as miserable and incompetent. A parasite-like lifestyle will be seen as a pity. Humans will be able to make new form of life. Intelligent robots will come into being. Sahara will be returning to green again. A large number of supermen will appear. they discover the secret of brain and find the channel to communicate with the greatest creator, and therefore they know the secret of time and space, the cause and effect relationship of lives transiting in different time and space, the secret of thinking, the power of mind, and the road towards higher level life space. These supermen will bring the material and spiritual life of humanity to a brand new level. There will not be nature disasters anymore. Earthquakes, floods, diseases will all vanish. Earth becomes a blessed paradise, which will be serene and harmonious, prosperous and vibrant. Cranes are flying in the sky. People are healthy and have a long life. Everyone live in peace and enjoy their job. In conclusion, human beings will enter an unprecedented, highly developed and civilized era, an era with happiness, abundance, and freedom. Everyone will transform to a celestial at the end. We will understand all secrets by that time. Each moment of our life will be extremely joyful. We will meet our family and friends who have passed away. A brilliant new life will start to unfold. However, there is a prerequisite, which is we must walk on the way of the greatest creator. If we ignore it, everything will be developing in the opposite direction. The position of life. Xiefeng. When we understand the origin of the universe, the greatest creator, and humanity, and comprehend the value and role of time and space, we come to realize that humans are not the highest beings in the cosmos, nor are they the lowest animals. Humans are a combination of spirit and flesh, positioned between angels, celestial beings, and Buddhas, and animals. Human life serves as a transit station between lower-level and higher-level life spaces. From birth to the death of the physical body, humans continuously accumulate merits. With abundant accumulation, life evolves towards higher levels. With minimal accumulation, life remains stagnant, reincarnating on Earth in the next life. And without any accumulation, life devolves to lower levels. The value of life. Xiefeng. The brief span of our lives determines the meaning of our future existence. Everything we say, do, think, and intend shapes our destiny. Every moment, every day, meticulously records our good deeds and missteps. The path we choose, whether it leads us to higher realms like the 1,000-year world, the 10,000-year world, or the Elysium world, depends entirely on how we live our lives. Similarly, whether we can avoid descending into lower realms like the realm of livestock, the netherworld, or the flaming purgatory also depends on our actions during our short time on Earth. Our short life holds a measurable value. Even if we were given all the treasures of the earth, if, after our physical body passes, our life doesn't ascend to higher spiritual realms but instead descends to the realm of livestock, what's the point of all that earthly wealth? Conversely, if we possess nothing on earth, yet, after our physical body passes away, our life enjoys 1,000 years of happiness in higher realms, or even attains eternal life in the Elysium world, what greater purpose could there be? Life is of immense significance, and we mustn't waste it aimlessly. By fully embracing the value of our lives, we can transform decay into wonder and overcome death to attain eternal life. The meaning of life. Xiefeng. The meaning of life lies in how to extend our life to higher-level life spaces, which is to seek the Tao and become a celestial being. Without understanding this, life will be a state of confusion, impermanence, tragedy, brevity, and suffering. With this understanding, life will be clear, enduring, a comedy, eternal, and happy. Due to the opposition between gods, human nature also contains two opposing sides, righteousness and evil. Every person, upon introspection, will find that they are a unity of gods and demons, and it depends on which aspect we develop toward. Developing toward righteousness can lead to becoming a celestial being or a Buddha. Lacking clear moral direction, we continue to be human, while developing toward evil makes us become animals. To maintain the relative stability of the universe, the greatest creator regulated everything in the universe and placed spirituality within all beings. Spirituality is the source of life, and the greatest creator is the sole source of the essence of life. The law of energy conservation and the law of the indestructibility of life are universal principles in the cosmos. According to these laws, we understand that the total number of species on Earth remains constant. Every species has a natural upper limit to its population. When it develops to a certain number that threatens the survival of other species, it will inevitably decline. If one species increases, another will decrease. When the human population reaches a certain limit, it will no longer increase. However, the problem is where the increasing human population comes from and where the decreasing populations of other animals go. The law states that everything has a spirit. In terms of spirituality, all beings are equal. The value of a wolf on earth is no different from that of a sheep. The role of a human on earth is no different from that of a monkey or a bee. The value of a peach tree is the same as that of a willow tree, and roses and grass are equally valuable. The difference lies in the quality of spirituality each possesses. For example, with the same type of stone, if its hardness reaches 10, it becomes a diamond. With a hardness of 9, it becomes a ruby or sapphire. With a hardness of 8.5, it becomes a cat's eye. With a hardness of 8, it becomes yellow sapphire or spinel. With a hardness of 7.5 to 8, it becomes aquamarine or zircon. With a hardness of 7.5, it becomes emerald or green sapphire. This hardness continues to decrease, resulting in tourmaline, quartz, amethyst, garnet, olivine, jadeite, wood fossil, soft jade, euclase, moonstone, sunstone, turquoise, etc., with hardness ranging from 3.5 to 5. It becomes shoyu jade, pearls, peacocks, corals, and so forth, all the way down to granite and common pebbles. Similarly, based on the quality of spirituality that each possesses, one can evolve from achieving Buddhahood or becoming a celestial being to becoming a human, crane, tortoise, dog, horse, ox, sheep, pig, flying bird, or walking beast, and so on. The same stone, such as aquamarine, can be divided into various grades based on its refractive index, specific gravity, color, transparency, brightness, and the pattern of its crystalline structure. The same applies to people, who can be divided into ignorant people, worldly people, mortals, sages, and saints based on their disposition, education, knowledge, wisdom, and level of civilization. Human beings are composed of a material body and a spiritual soul. After death, the physical body, which originates from energy, returns to energy. The spiritual soul, on the other hand, comes from the greatest creator, and it is eternal and indestructible, undergoing a cycle of reincarnation. This cycle is determined by a person's actions during their human life, specifically, the purity of their spiritual soul after the physical body's death. Depending on this, the spiritual soul can ascend to become a Buddha or celestial, continue as a human, or descend to become a bird or a beast. Therefore, the increase in the human population on Earth comes from other species, and some animals transform into humans. Now that we understand the position and predicament of humans, we must know that humans on Earth are under the guardianship of two opposing gods. We are faced with two completely different choices every day and every moment. One path requires us to sacrifice our immediate interests to pursue perfect humanity, with a focus on spiritual life and an increase in the quality of spirituality, ultimately leading to the 1,000-year world. The other path requires us to pursue material enjoyment at all costs, maximize material wealth and social status through competition, without considering any illusory afterlife. Because righteousness and evil coexist within human nature, our lives are always filled with contradictions and suffering, regardless of how we conduct ourselves. Being kind, honest, upright, and diligent does not guarantee immediate rewards in this lifetime, just as being evil, deceitful, cunning, or lazy doesn't necessarily lead to a difficult life. Misfortunes and disasters can befall both the wicked and the righteous. Even if we continuously pray, make offerings, and refrain from wrongdoing, there is no guarantee of wealth, well-being for our descendants, or freedom from illness. It's important to understand that our every word, action, and behavior have an impact on our spiritual essence, which will influence our next life. Therefore, we shouldn't use worldly success or failure to judge our moral standards. We should not imitate someone who engages in wrongdoing but still hold high positions, enjoy wealth, and have prosperous descendants. We should also refrain from mocking someone who dedicates their days to reciting scriptures and worshiping deities, yet experience poverty and hardship. Our brief human existence is merely a transitional phase, and its significance lies in our pursuit of spiritual enlightenment and ascension. Human society can be likened to an alchemical furnace, where gold is refined into celestials, and the remaining impurities are classified accordingly. The purpose of life. Xiefeng. The purpose of humanity is to serve the greatest creator, just as the purpose of flowers and plants is to serve humanity. The purpose of human life is to transform karma. We come to the human world for a reason. In the universe, there are no phenomena or results without reasons. We come to the human world instead of other spaces because various causes and conditions inevitably lead us to become human. We come to enjoy the pleasures of the human world and to bear the pains of being human. Why do we have to endure the suffering of being human? It's because we created karma in our past lives. There are no phenomena or results in the universe without causes and conditions. The suffering and hardships we endure are to repay the debts from our past lives. The more suffering we endure, the more debts we repay. Those who oppose us, insult us, bully us, exploit us, oppress us, humiliate us, deceive us, or create unjust cases against us are helping us to transform karma. They are our benefactors. On one hand, we need to transform karma and eliminate the sins we created in past lives. On the other hand, we need to refrain from creating more karma. If we continue to create karma, we will be reborn as humans in the next life. The more karma we create, the more suffering we will experience, and we may even descend to the animal or plant realms. If we stop creating karma and attain perfect humanity, we can enter the 1,000-year world in the next life. If we not only stop creating karma but also accumulate merits by serving society and others, we can enter the 10,000-year world. If we neither create karma nor cease in our virtuous deeds, and we also proclaim the glory of the greatest creator, we can enter the eternal realm, the Elysium world. This is the purpose of human life. 人群分类. Classification of people. Xiefeng. On the surface, there doesn't appear to be much difference between one person and another. We all have the same organs, senses, and bodily functions. We all eat, drink, excrete, and engage in activities like walking, sitting, and lying down. However, once we engage with someone, ask them to perform a task, or have a conversation, we quickly realize that people are vastly different from one another. Most individuals tend to believe that they are not much different from others, with distinctions primarily revolving around differences in wealth and social status. In reality, the variations among people are primarily rooted in their spirituality and wisdom. To help us understand what kind of individuals we are, and to provide a sense of direction for personal growth and goals in life, I classify people into 5 categories: ignorant people, worldly people, mortals, sages, and saints. By considering these categories, you can assess where you currently stand in your life journey. Ignorant people. Basic characteristics. They lead instinct-driven lives, often with disordered lifestyles and no clear life goals. Their values are in chaos, and they struggle to prioritize and distinguish between what's essential and what's not. They spend more time engaging in mindless actions than using their intellect. Instincts overpower emotions and rationality. They lack proper self-assessment and an understanding of life's meaning. Their lives are often marked by confusion, frustration, and erratic emotions. They are arrogant, blindly optimistic, and feeling superior when successful, pounding one's chest, feeling pessimistic and disappointed, and blaming the heavens and others when facing setbacks. They are quick to anger, easily irritable, often unreasonable, and susceptible to manipulation by others. They admire heroes, prefer excitement and dramatic events, and are willing to make great sacrifices for their friends. They have no secrets, are straightforward, and lack a sense of responsibility toward family, society, and others. They are selfless and without faith. Worldly people. Basic characteristics. People who to end their journey in this world. Neither method is easy for the public to grasp. Sleeping without waking up is a method that requires a great deal of blessings, and the Chanyuan meditation method requires long-term self-refinement and self-cultivation. So, is there an ideal way for the general public to meet their end? Yes, it is called euthanasia. The general interpretation of euthanasia is to stop medical treatment for patients who cannot be cured so that the patient can die comfortably. Life Genuine's explanation is anyone who does not want to continue their life but wants to end it voluntarily should be allowed to do so. People should have the right to decide their own life paths. In fact, most people are kidnapped by their reality, the environment, or by their relatives. They live passively, not actively. We should offer the right to choose and decide their own life's ending to everyone. Anyone who has reached the age of 18, despairs of life, and is willing to end theirs should be offered the option to be euthanized. Regardless of their situation, as long as someone still wants to live, regardless of their age or physical condition, they should be treated, given energy, and the hope to live. How much time is enough for someone to live? A century? A millennium? The truth is that for most people, no amount of time is ever enough. Immortality is everyone's wish. However, life is a short journey of life in the mortal world. In the end, everyone has to part with life. No matter how much they love being alive, ending it is inevitable. And since farewells are inevitable, it is only a matter of time before everyone will sooner or later have to say goodbye. We associate closely with our friends and relatives, but no matter how close our relationships are with them, no matter how much we like them, or how much they want to stay with us, we will eventually have to say goodbye to them and leave. We cannot stay with anyone forever, so since we have to leave them, we should find the most suitable time to do so. Is euthanasia not a kind of farewell? Why bother preventing anyone from leaving? It is better to arrange everything leisurely and give a decent goodbye in a cool and ready manner than to end one's life in a hurry with regrets, remorse, anxiety, and fear, without saying goodbye to those of whom we care. Of course, the vast majority of people would not agree with this Life Genuine view of euthanasia, and only those in extreme despair would accept it gracefully. Someone might ask, should we euthanize someone who is 19 years old, healthy, and in the prime of their life with a clear mind and a bright future? It would be the biggest joke ever, but no laughing matter. It would be very cruel. Of course, many people believe that the implementation of euthanasia would be murder if it were not only voluntary but also agreed upon by relatives. But hold on a moment. I have a question. Roughly 1 million people in the world end their lives annually. How many of their relatives have signed on to and agreed with those decisions? Of course, not many. So why would anyone need anyone else's consent if they are willing to end their life? If people could only do this with the consent of their relatives, then few would ever be able to. Of course, this kind of euthanasia requires legislation and a national convention. Otherwise, it would be difficult, if not impossible, to implement. I want to say that we can hardly imagine how many people in this world are living in extreme pain and despair. Many feel tired of life and do not want to continue on, but they have to bite the bullet and continue to live because they are kidnapped. Many others are in pain and are being tortured to death, such as those who are lying in hospital beds for long periods of time while incurable. They need to decide for themselves whether they are willing to accept euthanasia and should not require the consent of any relatives. Now that technology is developed, it is possible to video record the patient's words and wishes. In other words, anyone who voluntarily accepts euthanasia can speak their own mind and record it in an environment in which they are free from any duress, coercion, or kidnapping. Without this legally binding video, euthanasia would not be implemented. If a young person wanted to end their life, their relatives might call them selfish, but who is really more selfish, the young one or the relatives? Actually, I have thought about this. If Life Genuine were to implement euthanasia and hospice care, at least half of the people who want to commit suicide would give up those thoughts, and that number might be saved every year. By the way, it is better to deal with the people after euthanasia in accordance with the arrangement of the Life Genuine funeral system. The more we open up, the easier and simpler things become. The more restrictive we are, the more difficult and complex they become. 认识自己的一道法门. One way to know yourself. Xiefeng, July 6, 2020. Translated by Qinyu and edited by Care. It is fairly easy to understand others, but more difficult to know ourselves. However, when we do not understand ourselves correctly, our lives will be lost, stepped over, and frustrated everywhere. Recently, through my work, I found a method to learn about myself, and you are invited to try it as well. To know ourselves, we must first establish a reference point and compare ourselves to it. then we can better understand ourselves. Over the past 3 years, I have operated a small hotel in BC, Canada. The nature of the hotel is my 3 sets of large, medium, and small towels, sheets, and quilts are pure white. So once soiled, it becomes next to impossible to restore their original appearances. In contrast, the better one's financial situation is, the cleaner and neater they leave their rooms, and the better they communicate and get along with others. All in all, those who messed things up and could not communicate well were lower middle class workers, while the more civilized were more intellectual. My conclusion is that a person's situation reflects their education, self-cultivation, and self-restraint, as well as their knowledge, realm, and pattern. Do you want to understand and know yourself? Then look at your current situation because it represents you. If you are very poor, have few close friends and confidants, have trouble getting help from others, and your life is rough and difficult, there must be something wrong with you. And it is not because society is unfair or others are short on love. In Life Genuine, there is one value. The world is faultless. All faults lie within us. Any trials and tribulations that we encounter are reflections of our own consciousnesses. If we want to live a good life, then we must start by transforming ourselves. This is the building of our own soul garden, as advocated by Life Genuine. Never resent or blame others or your society. There is another phenomenon. That is, those who are good at communicating with others have relatively easy and satisfactory lives, but those who are not have more difficult and miserable ones. One can understand and know themselves from the social circle in which they interact with others. If there are no knowledgeable people in your social circle with big views, it shows that you are a commoner and it will be difficult for you to have a bright future. From this analysis, we can derive a useful life experience. That is, that one should always put the improvement of one's education, knowledge, self-cultivation, self-restraint, realm, and pattern first, not rushing to make money, success, to become the best, to glorify your ancestors, or to curry favor with rich and powerful people and celebrities. If you are excellent, then those correspondingly good things will come to you. But if you are not, then do not detest the flies around you. Let yourself be a flower. Butterflies will find you. By extension, when you are faced with natural and man-made disasters such as epidemics, floods, turmoil, and the like, do not blame the greatest creator for being unjust or people for being unkind. All these things are reflections of your human mind and consciousness because you caused and invited them upon yourself. If you want the weather to be favorable, the world to be peaceful, and everyone to be happy and satisfied, then you should first learn to be a decent person, learn how to communicate, always be wary of your thoughts and intentions, and make sure that they are not evil. If you have more negative, passive, and pessimistic emotions, then your lives will become harsher and the world will continue to worsen. Above is a basic method of how to understand and know oneself. The core of this method is the root, quality. That is, if we want everything to be satisfactory, then we must change our roots. Do not envy those whose roots are bad but very flashy. If one's position cannot match their virtue, then disasters will befall them. Flaunt with bad roots, and you will see the results. They must include disasters. 影响人生的8个外在隐形因素. 8 invisible external factors influencing our lives. Xiefeng, May 9th, 2020. Translated by Q and edited by Care. We should be aware of these 8 mysterious and invisible factors that influence our lives. Feng Shui, geomantic omens, gods and deities, grievances and curses of others, ancestral virtues and sins, solar radiation, socio-ecological environments, destiny trajectories, mathematics. Let us examine each one of them in greater detail. Feng Shui mainly refers to one's geographical and atmospheric environments, the veins flowing underground, the humidity or dryness of the climate, whether the air is fresh and its flow is smooth and unobstructed, whether there is sufficient light and the geomagnetic field is comfortable and pleasant, as well as the water quality and the chemical elements contained within and whether it is alkaline or acidic, and so on. It is really not easy to find a perfect geomantic omen place. The best way to avoid long-term damage to yourself by certain unfavorable factors is to change your living space often. Most chronic diseases are caused by feng shui, and they can be cured after changing one's environment. For example, If people with arthritis who live in humid areas can relocate themselves to places with drier humidities for 3 to 5 years, their arthritis can heal completely. People in my hometown in the thousand-year world never get sick for many reasons, but one of them is that people change their living environments often. This is why I emphasize that Life-Echanu and Celestials must move to another home every 3 years. When there are 256 homes, new oasis for life, on the earth, it will be hard to get sick for a lifetime if you relocate yourself every 3 years. Affection of gods and deities. Everything has spirituality. What we call heaven gods, mountain gods, water gods, earth gods, and so forth are actual gods and deities, and if we worship them in our hearts, then we will have no bad luck. For example, if you want to climb a mountain, pray to it and ask its God for protection, and you will not fall or injure yourself during your climb. If you pray to a river god or deity when crossing its river, then you will cross it safely. If you soothe and comfort the trees, flowers, insects, birds, and beasts where you live, then you will face no misfortune. Other people's grievances and curses are very harmful to life. If you do not believe me, then you should live among people who are full of grievances. It will not only make people lose their fighting spirits, courage, and confidence in their pursuit of better lives, but it will also cause people to become depressed, get sick, and have nightmares. Curses are even more powerful. They are silent harm from their hearts and invisible thought powers. It is also a curse to secretly cut a ground vein or manipulate an ancestor's grave. Curses will lead to the declines and extinctions of families and nations. They will even lead to sudden disasters, so it is best to remain cognizant. Ancestral virtue and sin karma have great impacts on life. An ancestor's virtuous karma can help their descendants to flourish and prosper, but their sin karma can lead them to wither and decline. Therefore, whether our lives are smooth or full of ups and downs, we must consult whether the karma that our ancestors created for us is virtuous or sinful. After learning the answer, we can find a way to remedy it. Otherwise, the trajectory of our lives will not change. Solar radiation. People whose ancestors lived in or near the tropics tend to have darker skin, while those whose ancestors lived closer to either of Earth's poles have lighter skin. This is caused by the amount of ultraviolet solar radiation that is present. We need to be exposed to the right amount for proper vitamin D production, neither too much nor too little. The amount varies with our latitude, and we can often change it to alleviate the damage of insufficient or excess ultraviolet solar radiation. The socio-ecological environment is crucial to the formation of human personalities and consciousnesses. It includes factors such as culture, beliefs, conventions, customs, overall values, and the outlooks on life, and the universe. If you are enclosed in a bad socio-ecological environment for a long time, you will become incapable of distinguishing fragrance from stench. It will be hard for you to know that there are mountains beyond mountains and skies above skies, and you will live very ignorantly. The trajectory of fate is an invisible binding force created by people's previous lives' merits and demerits, as well as an invisible manipulating force. The 18 unmanageable factors of life are an invisible arrangement of the trajectory of fate. Why am I so lucky or unlucky? Why have I met such a noble or unreasonable person? And other such questions are established arrangements along the trajectory of fate. To change that, to resolve or continue your trajectory of fate, you must self-cultivate and self-refine. The influence of mathematics is mysterious. Symmetry and proportion are very important. To be symmetrical and proportional, you must work hard on the math. The figure of the golden section looks beautiful, and this is caused by perfect symmetry and the most appropriate proportions. Symmetry and proportion must follow math strictly. Math is the principle of numbers. The more symmetrical things are, the longer their lifespans, and the more symmetrical a life is, the healthier it is. Once the math falls out of balance, a life will quickly decay and die, and it also becomes easier to suffer from nature. Therefore, how high a house should be, how big its doors and windows should be, how far or close it should be to the neighbor's house, how many sets of clothes and shoes should be stored in its closets, how high its tables, stoves, and windows should be, on which dates you can go out for trips or important meetings should be held, on which date the construction of the house should be started, how many plates, forks, and chopsticks should a family have, how big your house should be, and so on. are all in the math. If the math is suitable, then everything will go well, but if it is not, then everything will go against your will. There are 64 factors that affect people. The permutations and combinations of them are astronomical figures. As a person, it is hard to attend to one thing without neglecting another. The simplest method available is to follow the way of the greatest creator, the path of life. Genuine. 雪峰与年轻人聊聊. Xiefeng chats with young people. Xiefeng. October 22nd, 2020. Translated by Qinyu and edited by Care. After more than 60 years of springs, summers, autumns, and winters, I have some insightful life experiences to share with young people. They may not be correct, but they are just for reference. Life is the perception and experience of life in the human world. The richer that experience is, the deeper its perception is. The deeper that perception is, the clearer its truth is. Therefore, life is about experiences, and only those experiences form the wealth that life possesses. Some of those experiences are frustration, disappointment, failure, despair, love, friendship, kinship, sex, holy love, the spring, summer, autumn, winter, wind, clouds, rain and snow endowed by nature, joy, freedom, happiness, satisfaction, sacredness, solemnity, beauty, infinity, the coming and leaving of predestined relationships on the trajectory of life, and the cycles of causes and effects. When you are young, do not pursue vanity and trends, be engulfed by the trends of the times. Compare yourself with others, or pursue material possessions, such as buying real estate, cars, expensive consumer goods, high-end supplies, and so forth. If you focus on material abundance and possessions, then you are heading towards decadence, corruption, depravity, pain, troubles, and death. Rather, you should spend your time and energy on learning scientific knowledge and skills, how to behave, the teachings of gods, Buddhas, and celestials, and how to enhance the value of your life. Do not study metaphysics or enter religious groups, political groups, or various cultivation groups because they are all problematic. Especially do not learn anything about magical powers, special abilities, or spell powers. I do not even advocate the premature learning of Buddhism, Taoism, or divine law, let alone supernatural powers. Learning is to enrich one's understanding and to improve the quality of their life, not to be an official or make money, glorify and illuminate one's ancestors, or to be outstanding, let alone to build your good fame forever, but to experience life more deeply and to experience fun and wit of life. Why is the most important thing in life to enrich one's understanding and improve the quality of life? You can only understand it if you look at and study stones. From diamonds, emeralds, rubies, sapphires, opals, aquamarine, tourmaline, moonstones, and garnets, to pebbles, each of their values are completely different. Although we cannot always be human diamonds and emeralds, we cannot let ourselves become the pebbles among people. The more precious the stones are, the more embedded they are into the most sacred places, and the rougher they are, the more they are laid under people's feet. If someday someone can become a god, you will know that the purer their quality of life, the more they will live in a free and perfect world, and the lower their quality of life, the more they will live in a world of control and dilapidation. When you are young, do not waste your mind on building relationships with people because the cost of doing so is very high. Many people spend their precious time, energy, and even wealth on maintaining relationships, but it is not worth it. As long as they are people, they will part ways with you. Lasting relationships are almost impossible to maintain. Following predestined relationships is best, but not maintaining them deliberately. True confidence will appear on your road to strive forward instead of in the relationships you maintained by racking your brains. If you are a precious gemstone, then you will not need to establish relationships deliberately because people will chase you. If you are a cobblestone, then no matter how you rack your brains to establish relationships, people will abandon you. We are currently living in the era of network information, and the biggest characteristic of it is impetuousness. People are impetuous, markets are impetuous, society is impetuous, religion and political parties are all impetuous. There are bubbles everywhere, and they will burst at any time. Therefore, learn to calm down and think and study those that can last longer. According to my observation and analysis, 95% of the internet's content, including social media, is rubbish. Therefore, if you invest your time and energy with social media on the internet, you will be collecting rubbish and you will be dealing with rubbish. In the long run, you will become a garbage collector. There are three major wealths in life: material wealth, spiritual wealth, and soul wealth. When you are young, you should pursue soul wealth first, then spiritual wealth, and material wealth last. If you have a healthy body, that is equal to having material wealth. It can be said that health is the first material wealth of life. Thus, you should take good care of your body, do not stay up late, do not smoke, avoid drugs and alcohol, do not overeat, but eat in an orderly manner, and do not do so indiscriminately to satisfy your appetite. Your first priority in life is to honor your parents. How your parents treat you is their business, but as children, do what children should do. There are many ways to do this. The most important is to not let your parents worry about you and rush about and overwork for you. You may not be able to provide superior material wealth for your parents, but at least do not let your parents work hard to provide you with superior material conditions because you are a human, not a pig, and your parents raised you to adulthood. After you have reached the age of 18 years, you have to walk on your own and you can no longer rely on your parents for your survival. In this way, even if you cannot afford to support your parents in their old age and bury them, at least you will not have too much guilt in your heart, and in the eyes of heaven, you will be regarded as a reasonable person, a person who can be blessed. I have compiled a book, Treasures of Classical Advice, which is the essence of the wisdom and experiences of human sages. It is worth reading. I hope that you will read it when you are free, because you will definitely benefit from it. 共产主义，劳苦大众的唯一幸福之路. Communism is the only way to happiness. For the toiling masses. Xiefeng, November 20th, 2020. Translated by Qin Yu and edited by Care. Communism is actually sharing, and the higher the degree of sharing of things, the greater their value. The most effective way to maximize the value of all resources is to share them with everyone, which is communism's essence. People are inherently selfish, so they reject communism intuitively, and they are most afraid of sharing when they have little material wealth. If a person is so poor that they only have a broken bicycle, then they will be unwilling to allow anyone else to ride it. This is human nature. However, when people not only have material wealth, but also power, status, and reputations, they always want to make themselves and their families live more luxuriously than those around them so that others will envy them. This satisfies their vanity, so they are reluctant to share anything with others. Since Marx founded his theory of communism, the communist movement has almost always been promoted violently and in ways which damage the interests of the property-owning class. The imperfection of Marx's communist theory and the blindness of the behavior of communist practitioners has led to the failure of the communist movement. As a result, when people hear about communism, they instinctively hate it and resist it, which is completely understandable. According to historical experience, I can understand why people demonize and resist communism. This should be a lesson learned, and it can even be said that they are doing right because the so-called communist movements throughout history have run completely counter to the real thing. True communism is gentle, soft, and civilized, not coercive, violent, or depriving others of their property. Who has suffered the most in human history? Of course, it has always been the toiling masses, that is, the common people. For thousands of years, their condition has basically not changed much, and they are still the bearers of most of the suffering. I grew up in Asia, spent more than 10 years in Africa, lived in North America for nearly 4 years, and I have also spent a few months with primitive tribes in Oceania. I felt and experienced deeply the pain and troubles of the commoners everywhere I went. In order to relieve the suffering and troubles of the toiling masses, I have immersed myself in the Bible, Buddhist scriptures, the Quran, the Tao Te Ching, and I have also concentrated on Western spiritual practices and Eastern Osho. I have always paid attention to the global climate and ecological changes, focusing on changes in global political ecology. What I want to tell mankind is that communism is the only bright way out for the common masses. So, what is communism? I have explained some of its theories, but no theories can reveal the essential characteristics of things, let alone analyze all the interpretations and extensions of them. It is only by creating real objects that people can observe intuitively and deeply that they will fully understand them. Therefore, Chanyuan Celestials and I created the purely communistic New Oasis for Life, formerly the Second Home. So if you want to know and understand what communism is, you can visit and experience the New Oasis for Life created by Life Chanyuan for yourselves. Many people equate communism with utopia, and there is nothing wrong with this understanding because utopia is the embryonic form of communism, but most of them throughout history have failed. In order to figure out the reasons for their failures, I have carefully analyzed some historical ones, especially the New Harmonious Village, founded by the utopian socialist practitioner, Owen in the United States. I wrote an article to analyze the reasons for its failure, in which I opined that its core problem and the reason for its failure was that its utopian leaders did not have clear understandings and blueprints in their minds. They only relied on their passion and were crossing the river by feeling for the stones. So, when encountering the rush of wind, waves, and whirlpools, they could only drown in their rivers. In order to distinguish between the theories and practical activities of communism in history, I call the New Oasis for Life created by Life Chanyuan Xiefeng-style communism. This communism can resolve territorial disputes between countries and excessive consumption of natural resources, solve the corruption problem of government officials, avoid Yang Galen-style tragedies, reduce criminal activities by 3/4, enable people to live and work in peace, eliminate war, turmoil, refugees, and hunger, reduce suicide rates by more than half, and can give 98% of the people happy, joyful, free, and blessed lives. Who are these toiling masses? The term refers to those who have suffered their entire lives for food, clothing, housing, transportation, life, old age, sickness, and death. Those who have been struggling for a lifetime and are still struggling. Those who have suffered and have been bullied, troubled, and tortured all their lives. Those who have been looking forward to getting rich every year, while year after year still wearing torn clothes. Those who lack security but see no hope. And those who hate government officials, but on the surface have to show smiles on their faces and be deferential and sycophant to the officials. In short, everyone who wants to live a good life with their hands and diligence are the toiling masses. The cruel reality is that they are people who want to live better lives by hard work, yet their hands cannot rid themselves of troubles, pains, anxiety, sorrow, and even fear throughout their entire lives. This is what happened thousands of years ago. It is the same today, and it will remain this way for thousands of years to come unless we change our traditional production and life mode completely and enter the Xiefeng-style communist society. Otherwise, they will only dream eternally of having better lives. Moral education is always fragile and vulnerable. Christian moral education, Buddhist moral education, Islamic moral education, Confucian moral education, and the moral education of all kinds of sages have been easily destroyed by the face of reality. Look no further than today's China. All Communist Party officials have been raised on Mao Zedong's ideological and moral education, but in the face of money and interests, Mao's thoughts have been shelved. The level of corruption is staggering. Millions of yuan, even tens of millions are not enough. They embezzled hundreds of millions, billions, or even tens of billions. These servants of the people never cared about the lives of all the young Galens? Who cares about the lives of the toiling masses? Very few. Did decades of moral education work? Not at all. Let us look at the recent U.S. presidential election. Before the result of the election had even been settled, the mainstream media in the United States rushed to declare Joe Biden as the president, followed by the heads of Western democracies such as Britain, France, Germany, Israel, and other similar countries which sent congratulatory letters to Biden for his election victory. Even the president of Taiwan, Tsai Ing-wen, who is known as a Democrat, hurriedly sent congratulatory messages to Biden. No matter who is elected president, respecting the facts and listening to the voices and wishes of the people is the basis and bottom line of morality. The mainstream media's announcements and the congratulations of foreign before the facts had emerged and the votes had been counted violates the basic bottom line of morality and does not conform to legal procedures. What should be emphasized here is that most people in Western society have been educated in Christian morality, but where is the morality of the mainstream media? Where is the morality of those national leaders? Democratic countries are like this, but moral education in non-democratic countries is not even worth considering. The facts tell us that moral education is not enough to allow the toiling masses to live and work in peace and contentment because all spiritual chicken soup is an anesthetic. The current rampant Buddhist preaching is even more of an anesthetic, and the preaching to return to traditional Chinese culture is tantamount to advocating for men to wear braids and long mandarin jackets and women to bind their feet. That mysterious and spooky preaching is a portion of poison. Those who care about the welfare of the toiling masses should seek and establish programs which fundamentally guarantee happy lives for them. It might be very good to say that we should put power in the cage of the system, such that government officials dare not, cannot, and would not have access to corrupt practices, but unfortunately, it is the system itself that is the best soil for officials to grow corrupt, so the system will be unable to restrain and stop it because it is its own hotbed of corruption. I ask, can this system shut down power? Can it shield officials from corruption? Of course not. There have been many changes of dynasties throughout Chinese history, but what were the results? The herbal soups changed, but the medicines did not. Individuals changed, but the system did not. The obvious result is that the toiling masses are still the toiling masses, and their toiling nature and destiny have been fundamentally unchanged. If you do not change the traditional production and life mode, then it is of no use to change the ones in charge. It is useless even if you adopt a separation of powers, such as in the United States if the president is Old Wang. The judiciary is run by his brother-in-law, the legislative power is under the control of his third aunt, and the media are controlled by his best friends. Toiling masses, use your heads. Would you have free and happy lives? Xiefeng-style communism is the only way to happiness for the toiling masses. The new oasis for life production and life mode, created by Life Genuine, is a paradise for everyone. Many poor people among the working people have fluky minds, and they always think that they can squeeze into the upper class and live the life of the best as they sharpen their heads. Yes, they have that chance. There have always been 1 or 2 people out of 10,000 who have achieved this wish, but the probability of success is much too low, and it is a path that very few common workers will ever take. There are also some commoners who think that since they have million yuan houses and cars worth several 100,000 yuan, that they no longer belong to that low level. In fact, they are self-anesthetized and daydreaming. If they cannot maintain control for 3 days, then their car is just a pile of scrap iron. If they do not have food for 3 days, their million yuan house is just a coat. If there is a major illness or disaster, their property and vehicles will not save them. There are even some poor toiling masses who think that since they have become civil servants with iron rice bowls, secure jobs, they feel that their futures are secure, but in fact that is just a temporary comfort for themselves, and when they get old, they will learn the feelings of life, the sour, sweet, bitter, hot, and salty taste of life. In fact, Xiefeng-style communism is not only the road to happiness for the toiling masses, but also for capitalists and government officials, and the road for the cultivators to become celestials and Buddhas. The reason for this cannot be fully explained in a single article. If you have any doubts, please ask those who have lived and experienced Xiefeng-style communism. They can answer you. Remember this. Communism is the only way to happiness for the toiling masses and the only way out for mankind. 分享一点非常重要的做人常识. Sharing of some very important common sense of life. Xiefeng. Translated by Qinyu and edited by Kair. October 19th, 2020. If your life is stable but stressed, see if you lack common sense in these areas. If the greatest creator came to you but you failed to recognize him, then your life will reincarnate again and again. If gods, Buddhas, and celestials have come to see you but you have been unaware, then you have not yet awakened, and you can only keep on sleeping. If noble people occasionally appear in your life but you do not acknowledge them, then it will be difficult for your life to have a turning point and change, and your hardships are inevitable. Among the 3 factors that change one's destiny, personality is a very important one. This person may be a god, Buddha, celestial, or noble on the path of your life, and as long as you know any of them, your destiny will develop and change for the better. But I found that no one knows the greatest creator, and when gods, Buddhas, and celestials come around, people do not know them either. When noble people come near, few will pay attention to them. Therefore, most people are just living beings, rather than otherworldly saints. Some people can change the trajectories and destinies of their lives, but it is unfortunate if they keep missing their chances. 5 major turning points impacted my life. For we're from noble people, and one was related to the greatest creator. Had I not recognized the greatest creator, this tour guide that you know would not have been born, and were it not for the four noble people's guidance and help, I would be an old farmer in my hometown today. Where are the noble people, the gods, Buddhas, and celestials, and where is the greatest creator? They are all in your life and at your side. Why can you not see them, and why are you not aware of their existences? This has something to do with your consciousness and soul, as well as your understanding and realm. From your consciousness point of view, you cannot tell the priority of your life or reverse it, and from your spiritual point of view, your heart is too selfish and your mind is dim and closed. If your understanding is poor, then the sound of water running down mountains is noise, and if your realm is not high, and you cannot see beyond material content. For example, if I am the noble one in your life, then have I ever appeared before you? And if I have, then did you pay attention to me? If you did not, then you will not get anything from me, let alone change the trajectory and destiny of your life. How can it be considered that you have paid attention to me? When I speak, you must first listen carefully and then express your gratitude to me. When I come to you, you must stop what you are doing, mute your mobile phone, isolate yourself from the outside world, and communicate with me seriously and intently. When I post articles in WeChat, circles of friends, you should offer likes and show that you have me in your heart. When I show you the way, you must have no doubts, but rather start then and there. Such can be considered your having paid attention. So what kind of words and deeds are considered as your not having paid attention? When I talk to you, do you steer clear of my crucial points, not focus on the subjects of our conversations, and stray to topics that have nothing to do with my subjects? Do you talk too much and listen too little? When I came to you, or when you came to me, were you too busy looking at your phone and chatting with someone else to communicate seriously with me? When I posted an article, did you never offer a like, and therefore prove that I am not important to your consciousness? Were you so busy expressing yourself that you never reacted to my point of view, and so on? What I am saying is that there must be someone whose cognition is higher than yours in any group. Just as in a banquet, there must be a guest of honor. Therefore, after entering any group, the first thing that you must do is to find a person whose cognitive ability is higher than yours. As long as they are there, then you should talk less and listen more to them. In this way, you will benefit. Since they might be a celestial, Buddha, or the noble person in your life, they might well change your miserable destiny. There are mountains beyond mountains, skies above skies, people beyond people, and great masters beyond masters. Do not express yourself too much. When confronted by people with higher cognitive abilities, always listen, do not argue or express yourself, because the more you do, the worse you will be, because within the scope of his or her cognition, those actions can only show your limitations. When you become complacent, they will have already abandoned you. In this way, you will have missed the gods, Buddhas, celestials, and noble people, and missed your opportunity to change your destiny. When one thinks that they are completely right, then there is no room or opportunity for them to sublimate anymore. Their sublimation will be over, and the gods, Buddha, celestials, and noble people will avoid them. All those who insist that they are right will distance themselves from gods, Buddhas, celestials, and noble ones, and auspicious lights will no longer shine on them, because they will have already set their shape, and what they now are will definitely remain the same in the future. People have many opportunities to change their destinies throughout their lives, but most are not blessed to seize them. Gods, Buddhas, celestials, and nobles will appear once or many times in each person's life, but whether you can get to know, meet, and accept them depends on your own thoughts, words, and deeds. Of course, the core factor is your consciousness, state of mind, realm, and understanding. Remember, when you feel that you are right, are obsessed with it, and are arrogant about it, then you are finished. 信念和希望的神奇力量. The magical power of faith and hope. Xiefeng, March 21st, 2021. On September 9, 2019, the World Health Organization reported that, on average, 800,000 people commit suicide globally every year. According to statistical analysis, the number of suicide attempts is 20 times that of completed suicides. Suicide is a result of losing faith and hope. Hope. The impact of suicide and suicide attempts on people is estimated at 4 individuals affected per person, resulting in 64 million people worldwide experiencing extreme suffering annually. If we add the suffering caused by diseases, conflicts, poverty, wars, and disasters, it's safe to say that, not exaggerating, 2 to 3 billion people live in pain every year. We cannot turn a blind eye to this. We must liberate people from suffering. The way to liberation is through faith and hope, because faith and hope have a miraculous power. In a major earthquake in Los Angeles, 14 children were rescued 36 hours after the quake. The core factor behind their rescue was the faith and hope of one child and his father. The father once told his son, "No matter what happens, I will be with you." The son's faith and hope were, "My father will come to save me." This belief and hope infected the other 13 children, helping them survive the dangerous period of fear and despair and ultimately being rescued. On August 5, 2010, a collapse occurred at the San Jose copper mine in northern Chile. 33 miners were trapped 700 meters underground, and those above ground didn't know if they were alive or dead. The 33 miners managed to take refuge in a shelter, but their situation was dire. The shelter held only enough food for 2 to 3 days, yet they persisted for a full 17 days. They survived by consuming just 2 spoonfuls of canned fish per day per person. How did they manage to survive until they were finally rescued on the 69th day? The answer is faith and hope. In times of despair, as long as one holds onto faith and hope, there is a chance to transform danger into safety. In today's era, one of the best examples of maintaining faith and hope is the Chanyuan Celestials of Life-Chanyuan. A group of ordinary people, more than 100 in number, began living together in a communist model since 2009. Over the past 11 years, they have faced repeated hardships. They built 3 idyllic paradises in Yunnan province. Due to the government's lack of understanding, they were driven out of their homes, and their more than 20 million yuan in property went to waste. They then built a home in Nanjing, only to be evicted again by the government. Meanwhile, they created 3 homes in Xinjiang, only to be driven out again. Returning to Yunnan, they built 3 more homes, only to face hardship once more and be forced out. The group exhausted its funds, feeling that there was no place for them in the world. However, they overcame these difficulties and persisted until today. Several more homes have been rebuilt, especially the 2 homes in Thailand received support from local temple abbots. Marriage and family, nation and country, political parties and religions, ideologies, truths, and ideals. As long as there is attachment, life can move towards brilliance. However, when one is attached to something or a certain belief, the flower of life withers, heading towards exhaustion and decline. Consider a couple deeply in love. When they cannot bear to be apart, feeling like the world would collapse without each other, and believing that life has no meaning without their partner. He wants only to marry her, and she wants only to marry him. This is called attachment. This kind of attachment brings about a deeply romantic and sweet period in their lives, reaching the pinnacle of a passionate love affair. However, as time passes and the erosion of daily life begins, they gradually realize that their attachment has become a binding rope. The longer this feeling persists, the stronger it becomes. Because of excessive attachment, they neglect all the other scenery along the way. By the time they grow old, they realize that they have missed countless opportunities to appreciate breathtaking scenery. Beneath their smiling faces lies a sense of helplessness and endless lamentation. An old man descending from a mountain tells young people who are excitedly climbing up, "There is nothing worth seeing at the mountaintop. The view is even better down below." Of course, the young people do not believe him and think, "This old man just doesn't know how to appreciate the scenery." So, they keep climbing, eventually reaching the mountaintop, but also growing old. And what do they find? The old man was right all along. There really isn't anything worth seeing at the mountaintop. Consequently, one by one, these people who were once young and climbed mountains start descending. As they see the younger generation climbing with excitement, they tell them, "There is nothing worth seeing at the mountaintop. The view is even better down below." However, how could the young people believe the words of the old folks? Thus, this story of climbing the mountain continues to unfold from the distant past to the present, and will continue into the distant future. In the end, we will discover that especially serious people will die due to their seriousness, and especially attached individuals will die due to their attachments. Nutritionists will die due to nutrition. Excessively clean people will die due to cleanliness. Those desperately seeking longevity will die prematurely in pursuit of longevity. Those who aspire for political power will die due to political power. Those pursuing wealth will die due to wealth. And those scheming to attain power will die due to power. The list goes on. So, where is the best path in life? Take things as they are, associate with others by following naturally come-and-go relations, act in accordance with one's intrinsic nature, and take advantage of opportunities as they arise. Let go of attachment. This is the best path in life, and it also aligns with the path of the sublimation of life. 走出思维迷思3. Breaking Free from Mental Fallacies, Part 3. Xiefeng, March 4th, 2022. Edited by Qin Yu. Life is enriched through possession, while life withers through possession. When people travel by train, they buy a ticket, enter the station, board the train, travel for a distance, disembark, and exit the station. Simple and effortless. Rarely does a passenger want to buy and possess the train they are traveling on, nor do they wish to stay on the train indefinitely. Why don't passengers want to buy and possess the train? Because it is unnecessary, and ownership would become a burden. Likewise, people do not desire to possess commercial airplanes or large cruise ships because they are merely using them for one journey. Perhaps they will only use them once in a lifetime. So why invest time, energy, and money to own them? However, the fallacy lies in the fact that despite knowing we are merely traveling through this earthly realm for a short period, where everything on earth is not worth possessing and even if possessed, it will eventually have to be relinquished, why have humans tirelessly racked their brains over what to possess? Why are they even willing to pay the price of their own and others' lives to possess illusory dreams along their journeys? Let's assume we have 1 million in cash. Is it better to use that 1 million to buy a house, or to temporarily rent someone else's house and use the remaining money for other purposes? For example, renting a house for 1 year with a rental payment of 20,000 yuan. Renting for 50 years would amount to 1 million yuan. From the perspective of life, buying seems better, providing a sense of security and becoming capital to flaunt to others. However, from the perspective of life's meaning, renting is, of course, better because by paying 20,000 yuan annually, one would still have plenty of money left to invest in other fields. This investment may generate more wealth, not only enough to pay the annual rent of 20,000 yuan, but also leave a surplus. In other words, after 50 years, one would still have 1 million yuan in hand, while buying the house outright would leave one penniless. Some may argue that buying a house preserves its value, while money in hand may depreciate due to inflation. However, this is also a fallacy. Houses depreciate every year and may even collapse, while money in hand has the possibility of both depreciating and appreciating. Therefore, we do not analyze or speculate on these contingent factors. What we are analyzing now is whether a possession is worthwhile. The mistaken belief of striving to possess something is a human fallacy, also the root cause preventing humans from living a heavenly life. People feel secure when they possess something. It satisfies not only their practical needs, but also their psychological desires. Consequently, the goal of their entire lives becomes to possess more: land, houses, cars, status, wealth, honor. Moreover, they desire to possess people, such as in a marital relationship, where each claims ownership of the other. This is my man, this is my woman, this is my child, and so on. If you were to ask someone, what do you possess? And they answer, I have a villa and a luxury car. I own a company and a business. I have 200 acres of land. I have 30 cows. I have an iPhone. People would look at them with envy, respect, and even admiration. However, if the answer is, I have nothing, people would look at them with disdain, contempt, and even scorn. When the mistaken view of life, and values becomes a general principle for the masses, mistakes turn into correctness, fallacies turn into truth, and heaven turns into hell. When a person dedicates their lifetime and energy to possessing more and more things, they lose the qualifications to appreciate the artistic charm of life and obtain a ticket to heaven. Heaven is heaven precisely because every life possesses nothing. It is a state of having nothing. Paradoxically, it is because every life possesses nothing that it achieves the result of possessing everything. When we possess something, we feel secure, and the more we possess, the more fulfilled our lives become. Our vanity attains maximum satisfaction. However, precisely because of our possessions, we are alienated from heaven, and this is the withering of life. 人生八悲, The Eight Sorrows of Life. Xiefeng. April 3rd, 2022. Edited by Qin Yu. Ancient wisdom states that there are three great sorrows in life: losing one's father in youth, losing one's wife in middle age, losing one's child in old age. I do not fully agree with this viewpoint. First, these three sorrows seem to be unrelated to women themselves. Second, these sorrows are not inherent but are created by human cognition and culture. My perspective on the sorrows of life is as follows. First sorrow, lack of maternal love in infancy. Second sorrow, lack of playmates and insufficient opportunities for joyful play during childhood. Third sorrow, lack of guidance on being a human during adolescence. Fourth sorrow, lack of love and the absence of establishing beliefs during youth. Time and energy are expended on the pursuit of marriage, family, and materialistic desires, including food, clothing, shelter, and transportation. Fifth sorrow, stumbling in midlife. Sixth sorrow, being abandoned by family in old age. Seventh sorrow, learning the Bible in adolescence, Buddhist scriptures in youth, and the Quran in old age. Eighth sorrow, delving into cultivation methods and techniques, supernatural abilities, and metaphysics. If one of these sorrows exists, life will be filled with regrets. If two sorrows exist, life will be filled with resentment. If three sorrows exist, life will be filled with pain. If four sorrows exist, life will be filled with defeat. If five sorrows exist, life will be filled with chaos. If six sorrows exist, life will be filled with hatred. If seven sorrows exist, life will be filled with suffering. If eight sorrows exist, life will be a prison. I have the supreme method that can resolve these eight sorrows. By following this method, the sorrows can be overcome. 与其道德说教，不如更换程序. Instead of moral preaching, change the program. Xiefeng. June 25th, 2022. Edited by Qin Yu. Program development always surpasses moral preaching. In the 18th century, England transported convicts to Australia to alleviate domestic prisoner overcrowding and develop the country. The British government hired private ships to transport the convicts. Prior to departure, the ship owners were paid by the government based on the number of convicts on board. In order to maximize their profits, the captains crammed as many convicts as possible onto the ships, resulting in overcrowded cabins with poor air quality. Since the ship owners had already received their payment, they disregarded the life and death of the convicts. As a result, the death rate on these ships reached as high as 12%. One ship, for example, carried 424 convicts, of whom 158 died during the voyage. To reduce the mortality rate, the British government dispatched government officials on each ship to supervise the transportation process. They also set mandatory standards for the convicts' living conditions and provided doctors to accompany them. What happened next? In pursuit of their own interests, the ship owners bribed the supervising officials and doctors. Those who refused to accept bribes were either thrown into the sea or killed by other means. Consequently, the death rate among the convicts remained high. Eventually, the government changed the payment procedure. Instead of paying based on the number of convicts boarded, they started paying based on the number of convicts safely delivered to Australia. As a result, the ship owners made every effort to protect the lives of the convicts, improve their diet and living conditions, and actively seek medical treatment for them. Consequently, the convict mortality rate dropped from 12% to 1%. This is the effect of changing the program. If a certain state is persistently bad, then one should not rely on moral preaching to solve the problem. Instead, consider changing the program. Once the program changes, the state of chaos immediately disappears. For example, in the matter of elderly care, there are moral expectations for children to dutifully care for their parents, with sayings such as, filial piety is the foremost of all virtues. However, what has been the situation for thousands of years? Despite loving parents having been around since ancient times, who have seen filial children? Since this is the case, why not change the program for elderly care? Options such as using real estate for retirement, group retirement, hotel retirement, nursing home retirement, retirement pension, and so on still fail to alleviate the suffering of elderly people, especially those without financial means. In fact, elderly care is easily to be solved. Regardless of whether the elderly have money or children, they can all live their later years happily in the second home life mode program created by Life Genuine. Another example is the issue of marital relationships. Few people have been able to handle marital relationships well over thousands of years, and the problems and pains that arise from managing these relationships are too numerous to list. So why get married and start a family? Does not getting married and starting a family mean one cannot live a good life? The second home mode of Life Genuine effortlessly resolves this problem. In this mode, there are no marital relationships, and without marital relationships, the troubles and confusions caused by relationship management disappear. By changing the program, the worries and pains are eliminated. Similarly, in the realm of raising children, reality reminds us that due to the flawed perspectives on life held by the majority of parents themselves, the values, life, and worldviews they pass on to their children remain incomplete. This brings endless confusion and setbacks on the journey of life for the next generation. Therefore, raising children in an environment where they are nurtured and educated by perfect teachers in their spiritual realm frees parents from the labor of raising children and allows children to establish correct values from a young age. Life Genuine has successfully proven this through 10 years of practice. Regarding the issue of funerals, people now say they can't afford to die. Why can't they afford it? Because burial plots are expensive and funeral costs are too high. The easy solution to this problem is the Life Genuine funeral system, created by the Life Genuine community. This funeral system not only makes death affordable, but also allows people to depart gracefully and elegantly. As for wars between nations, for thousands of years, wars between countries have brought great harm to the people. Does humanity really lack the knowledge and wisdom to solve this problem? Not at all. Global unification and the disappearance of nations, allowing people to freely move around the world, create a sense of interconnectedness. Who would fight whom? With the massive military expenses gone, no more soldiers, and destruction eliminated, wouldn't that be wonderful? This is merely a matter of changing the program. What problem in human existence cannot be solved? Floods, droughts, epidemics, social unrest, corruption, wealth disparity, and other issues. Can they be solved through moral preaching? They cannot. But by changing the production and life mode programs that humanity has followed for thousands of years, everything can be easily resolved, bringing about favorable weather, social stability, and everyone's happiness, joy, freedom, and well-being. By observing the outstanding figures throughout human history and the wise and capable individuals of today, it is evident that only Deiform Buddha of Life Genuine can truly lead humanity into the desired era of peace and happiness. Even if the Ziwei saint were to descend, he would still be unable to surpass Deiform Buddha. Zorencher Sir 1. Being a Human Knowledge 1. Xiefeng. October 4th, 2022. Edited by Qin Yu. The more chaotic and morally corrupt the era, the more important it is to maintain one's integrity. In a society with complex and confused values, it is crucial to uphold one's integrity. In times of social unrest and anxiety, it is even more important to stay true to oneself. When facing personal adversity, oppression, poverty, and illness, it is essential to maintain one's integrity. Being a human is not about being a good or kind person, achieving status or wealth, seeking the approval and praise of others, or becoming successful in the future. It is about living with dignity, peace of mind, prospects, and being truly human, not like a ghost, demon, monster, devil, or beast. I will first list the following 28 principles as the fundamental knowledge for being a human. Never break your promises. Keeping your word is the foremost duty of being a human. Once you break your trust with someone, it is difficult to restore it. A single act of betrayal can have lifelong consequences. Maintain a sense of gratitude. Regardless of who they are, If someone has shown you even the slightest kindness, remember it forever. As a result, always respect and honor your parents. Express gratitude to teachers, masters, and mentors. Cherish the bond of siblings, and be thankful to anyone who has helped you in any situation. Be grateful to the opposite sex with whom you have had intimate relationships. Although it may be impossible to fully repay a favor, always remember it and treat those who have helped you with utmost respect, using gentle words, humble gestures, and a warm expression. Do not argue with elders. Do not bully those who are weaker, poorer, or disadvantaged. Do not ridicule those with physical disabilities. Do not bully widows, widowers, or individuals with disabilities. Prioritize the well-being of the elderly and women when there are advantages or benefits in the current situation. Do not waste even a morsel of food. Do not compete with superiors for recognition. Use only what you earn through your own labor and never exploit even the smallest advantage. In a group, listen more to those who are more important than yourself and speak less. Expand outwardly and do not compete for profits with siblings. Do not disrespect deities, gods, Buddhas, celestials, and saints. Do not enter someone's home or bedroom without permission. Do not pocket anything found on the ground. Do not interfere in other people's affairs unless asked. Never intrude upon others' privacy, including refraining from reading their letters and phone messages and avoiding engaging in gossip. Especially avoid prying into the privacy of close friends, family, and romantic partners. Do not voluntarily report the crimes of close relatives to the authorities. Do what you are capable of doing and do it well. Do not undertake tasks beyond your ability. Do what you truly enjoy from the depths of your heart, rather than being led by vanity and money. Have at least 2 sincere friends who can mutually support each other. Adapt to local customs and do not cling stubbornly to your own opinions. Avoid having peculiar tastes and demands. Learn to accept things as they are. Don't scheme and strive for grand achievements, and only accept rewards when deserving. In any situation, at any time, prioritize harmonious interactions with others. Do not engage in theft, robbery, gambling, drug trafficking, rebellion, deception, abduction activities, and organizations. Never attempt to change others. Act in accordance with your nature. Associate with others by following natural come-and-go relations. Accept things as they are, and take advantage of opportunities that arise. Obey laws and regulations. Even if 99 out of 100 people disregard the law, you must persist in adhering to it. Foster independent thinking and entrepreneurship from a young age. These 28 principles are the basic guidelines for being a human. Being a human is difficult, sometimes feeling helpless in the world. But while the body may be beyond our control, our hearts are within our control. As long as we adhere to these basic principles throughout our lives, gradually, we will distance ourselves from suffering and calamities, moving towards good fortune and auspiciousness, and lay a solid foundation for our future cultivation, enabling us to embark on the path of becoming celestial beings or Buddhas and embarking on a spiritual journey towards heaven. 做人之事 2. Being a human, knowledge 2. Xiefeng. October 4th, 2022. Edited by Qin Yu. Observe the social upheavals, rampant epidemics, frequent disasters, widespread hunger, and various movements throughout history. People were deeply involved, yet there were always those who remained unscathed because they upheld the integrity of being human. If you don't believe in karma and consequences, then go ahead and commit evil acts and join forces with the wicked. If you believe that heaven does not spare anyone, then learn the knowledge of being human and become a true human being. Do not define or pass judgment on others. Only the divine can discern right from wrong, and the Tao judges our merits and demerits. In the grand script of universal life, human cognitive abilities are insignificant. If we define and pass judgment on others, we may make grave mistakes and create great misfortune. Do not believe hearsay. Unless verified personally or scientifically, regardless of the source of information, even if it comes from authorities or experts, simply listen to it without fully believing it. Especially in times of confusion and moral ambiguity, what is attacked and insulted may be the most noble, and what is praised and admired may be the most vile and despicable. Respect life and do not harm any living beings. Especially, Do not harm snakes, turtles, or cranes, and above all, do not harm human lives. Avoid borrowing money unless absolutely necessary, especially avoid going into debt for consumption. Minimize accumulating debts of gratitude. Debts of gratitude are like divine shackles. Once incurred and left unpaid, they will bind you for life. Endure humiliation, if necessary, but do not kneel easily. Once you kneel, it will be difficult to stand again. Never speak or act in a mystical or mysterious manner. Respect facts, respect science, respect logic, and respect spiritual perception. Absolutely refrain from doing things secretly or in a sneaky manner. Conduct affairs according to established procedures without relying on bribery or connections. Do not exploit legal loopholes, do not exploit the weaknesses of others, and do not violate the arrangements of heaven. Focus on accomplishing tasks rather than engaging in idle chatter. Discuss matters more and talk less about people. Do not attack the homeland, the people, or the ancestors. Stay away from popular figures to avoid being influenced by fleeting trends. Do not tie yourself to the bandwagon of pity just because someone else is pitiable. Do not fabricate false facts. Regardless of where or when, and regardless of the person involved, honesty is always the best policy. Regarding private matters between consenting men and women, do not stand on a moral high ground to make judgments or follow the opinions of others. Cultivate good speech and refrain from generating evil speech. Let everything progress naturally and reach its proper conclusion. Avoid forcing things. Forcing goes against the natural way and will inevitably sow the seeds of calamity. Admit when you don't understand something instead of pretending to know. Once you pretend to know, you will be laughed at and troubled. Complete what you start and bring closure to relationships with others. Without completion, you will end up adrift like a floating duckweed. The world changes, calamities persist, dynasties rise and fall, and unexpected events occur. The journey of life is filled with crises and risks. It is impossible to escape the heavenly net by relying solely on human wit and intelligence. Only by upholding the integrity of being human do we have hope of navigating our life's sailboat through stormy waves and reaching the shores of our ideals. 做人之事 3. Being a human, knowledge 3. Xiefeng. October 7th, 2022. Edited by Qin Yu. It is necessary to read the book without words, which contains all the knowledge of being human. Reading the book without words is a way to communicate with nature and have a dialogue with the greatest creator. The knowledge accumulated by humanity, apart from books that reveal the mysteries of nature such as mathematics, physics, chemistry, and biology, is mostly garbage. The knowledge in fields such as politics, economics, sociology, history, and humanities distorts reality or provides short-sighted explanations of certain eras or phenomena. 4. It cannot be used for loans. Once a person has a certain amount of F-coin, they can go to a paradise on earth, the kingdom of the greatest creator, to live. Everything you need in terms of material goods is provided for you there, including food, clothing, housing, transportation, and even the necessities of life which cover birth, aging, illness, and death. Which currency do you think is more powerful and has a better future, USD, Bitcoin, or F-coin? Do you want to know how to get F-coins? Please refer to Acquiring and Consumption of F-coins. FB 的获取和减号算法. The Acquisition and Consumption Algorithm of the F-coin. Xiefeng. March 30th, 2023. Edited by Peter. If you have acquired 5,000 F-coins, you can enter the paradise on earth, the kingdom of the greatest creator, where basic living conditions are provided for you. Retirement is not a problem. Being a bridegroom every day and a bride every night is not a problem. And you no longer have to worry about food, clothing, shelter, aging, illness, and death. You don't have to worry about unemployment, loneliness, let alone theft or fraud. This place is so beautiful that you'll exclaim, "It's awesome." So, how do you get F-coins? If you distribute the Chatplanes webpage to 10 people, you will get 1 F-coin. If you distribute it to 100 people, you will get 10 F-coins, and so on. If you distribute the 800 values for New Era Human Being 3rd edition to 10 people, you will get 1 F-coin. If you distribute it to 100 people, you will get 10 F coins, and so on. If you make a contribution to Life Genuine International Family Society by donating $5, you will get 1 F coin. If you donate $100, you will get 20 F coins, and so on. If you volunteer for the Paradise on Earth, the kingdom of the greatest creator, you will get 2 F coins for a day's work and 20 F coins for 10 days' work. If you help outstanding people in various fields, such as scientists, musicians, professors, doctors, thinkers, entrepreneurs, writers, famous craftsmen, singers, and dancers, out of their difficulties in life, you will get 100 F coins for each person you help. If you save someone from the brink of death, no matter for what reason, you will get 100 F coins. If you participate in rescue work in the event of a natural disaster, you will get 2 F coins per day. If you volunteer for no pay, no matter where you are, you will get 1 F coin per day. As long as you provide conclusive evidence, a certificate will be issued to you. With this certificate, when your F coins accumulate to 5,000, you can enter and take pleasure in the Paradise on Earth, the kingdom of the greatest creator. The following are the details of how F coins are consumed. Killing a wild animal, including a wild bird, will consume 1 F coin. Injuring a person will consume 100 F coins. Fighting with someone once will consume 2 F coins. Quarreling with someone once will consume 0.5 F coin. Insulting and framing someone once will consume 5 F coins. If a student reports a teacher, a disciple reports a master, or a child reports a parent, the student, disciple, or child will consume 10 F coins. Stealing someone else's property will consume 2 F coins per time. Raping someone will consume 100 F coins per time. For the above consumption, as long as someone provides evidence, the corresponding amount will be deducted from their heavenly treasure F coins. Once the total number of F coins of a member living in the Paradise on Earth, the kingdom of the greatest creator, below 5,000 due to consumption, they will be immediately expelled from the kingdom of the greatest creator. When they accumulate enough F coins outside the kingdom of the greatest creator, they can return to the kingdom of the greatest creator again. As of March 2031, the above rules for acquiring and consuming F coins will not become outdated, but more detailed rules will be introduced in the future. 对生命禅院 FB 的一点说明 A brief explanation of Life Genuine F coin. Xiefeng, July 17, 2022. Translation edited by Qin Yu. Vision is proportional to one's prospects. Nearsightedness renders the distant future obscure. When our consciousness is confined to the pursuit of immediate material benefits and various disputes and phenomena, we inevitably sacrifice our future welfare. In the not-too-distant future, the number of people surviving on Earth may be fewer than 600 million. Whether we face destruction or continue to live depends on the amount of spiritual and soul wealth each of us possesses. Destruction will lead to reincarnation in the animal world, while survival will allow us to coexist harmoniously with nature and ascend to the heavenly kingdom. Nature is managed by advanced beings, and the birth, development, operation, and demise of things are governed by laws. The Earth will not disappear unless it approaches the long axis of the Taiji ellipsoid. The Earth still has a lifespan of 5 billion years. Its end is far off. To maintain the healthy operation of Earth's life, we need to remove the tumors that damage Earth's life. Human behavior is controlled by consciousness, and consciousness is influenced by the phenomena of the vast universe. Only consciousness that is not controlled by worldly phenomena possesses the attributes of advanced beings. All phenomena are material and fleeting. Material wealth belongs to phenomena, but its essence lies in spiritual and soul wealth. In the future, those who remain on Earth will be the wealthy ones, not in terms of material wealth, but in terms of spiritual and soul wealth. Who are the wealthy in terms of spiritual and soul wealth? Life Genuine F coin can serve as an indicator. The amount of Life Genuine F coin one possesses signifies the amount of spiritual and soul wealth one has. The more F coins one has, the closer one is to being wealthy. Life Genuine F coin has another function. The more F coins one has, the easier it will be to enter the human paradise, the second home. Eventually, one can enter the primary paradise, the 1,000-year world. Life Genuine F coin has 11 components. The purpose of Life Genuine is to revere the greatest creator, revere life, revere nature, and follow the way of nature. Portraits of Life Genuine mentors, Christ Jesus, Buddha Sakyamuni, and Celestial Laozi. A brief explanation of spiritual and soul wealth. A photo of Xiefeng, the founder of Life Genuine. The symbol of the new human life mode, the second home. The amount of F-coin. The motto of Chanyuan Celestials. Open the windows, the sunlight and fresh air will come in. Take a broad view. You will see the faraway mountains fresh and green. Stay and study in Life Genuine. A new life will begin. Your spirituality will grow, and your thinking will transcend the limitations of human nature and ethics. The symbol of the international family of Life Genuine. An explanation of the nature of F-coins, i.e., the currency of the heavenly kingdom. The serial number of the F-coin. The name or code of the F-coin holder. The shaded area depicts a flat map of the earth. When you possess the Life Genuine F-coin, a divine lamp will rise in your heart. This lamp will illuminate your path forward. Follow the light, and you will reach your dream destination. Remember, let the dead deal with the affairs of the dead. I wish you to become a super wealthy individual in terms of spiritual and soul wealth. 人生的最高境界, the highest realm of life. Xiefeng, December 18, 2012. Translation edited by Qin Yu. Last night, the west wind withered the green trees. Alone, I ascended the high tower, gazing at the distant road to the end of the sky. The belt of my robe is gradually getting looser, but I do not regret it. It is for him that I've grown pale. Amidst the crowd, searching for him countless times, suddenly I turned my head, and there he was, at the dimly lit crossroads. These are the three realms of life discussed by the great scholar Wang Guowei in his work, Words in the World. At 30, one stands on their own. At 40, they are no longer perplexed. At 50, they understand their destiny. At 60, their ears are obedient. At 70, they follow their heart's desires without overstepping bounds. These are the life realms according to Confucius, the sage of China. Opening up the south wilderness, tending to the simple and returning to the field. Rising early to cleanse the wilderness, carrying the hoe under the moon, diligently working in the early hours, returning with the plow at sunset. Dogs bark deep in the lanes, roosters crow on top of mulberry trees. Picking chrysanthemums by the eastern fence, leisurely seeing the southern mountains. These are the realms of life according to Tao Yuanming. Heavenly realm, human realm, and earthly realm. The realm of gods with goodness, no desires, wisdom, and no illnesses is the heavenly realm. The realm with the 7 emotions, 6 desires, birth, aging, illness, and death, and the troubles of desires is the human realm. The realm of monsters, demons, ghosts, and goblins is the earthly realm. These are the 3 realms of life in Taoism. The desire realm, the form realm, and the formless realm represent the worlds inhabited by sentient beings with desires, encompassing lust, emotions, physical desires, and food desires. People who accompany us on our journey shape the joys and sorrows of our lives. Xiefeng, June 1, 2023. Edited by Qin Yu. People realize and understand as they grow older that the individuals that they journey with shape the joys and sorrows, separations and reunions of their life. They contribute to the ups and downs, the completeness and deficiencies of one's existence. During childhood, parents are the ones who bring both happiness and sadness, separations and reunions, completeness and deficiencies. Having loving and understanding parents is a blessing in life. However, if parents treat their child as a means to uphold family honor or as a target for venting frustrations from outside, it becomes a source of sorrow in life. During adolescence, the most influential people to walk alongside are teachers. Their words, actions, and evaluations lay the foundation for one's character and outlook on life. Wise and caring teachers pave the way for a hopeful and bright future, while narrow-minded and bitter teachers fill the sky of one's life with clouds, lacking warmth and sunshine. Young adulthood is a vibrant period for expanding one's social boundaries, and making friends is inevitable. Typically, people form 2 or 3 close friendships, And it is precisely these close friends that bring about significant turning points in one's life. Genuine and open-minded close friends, filled with the confidence and courage to strive and excel, will inspire oneself, leading to a passionate and hopeful outlook on life. On the other hand, if a close friend is selfish, deceitful, and harbors a dark mentality, one will also be drawn into a chaotic and disorderly path that goes against morality and even legality. In middle age, the most important companion in life is a spouse. If one is fortunate to meet a considerate, capable, and affectionate partner who excels at managing household affairs, it is a great blessing. Conversely, encountering an unreasonable, selfish, and greedy spouse who lacks understanding and often voices complaints creates a life filled with bottomless sorrow and misery. In such circumstances, whether it is the husband or the wife, thoughts of suicide often emerge in their minds. The inner pain has nowhere to be expressed, and they can only silently endure day after day, year after year. In old age, as physical strength gradually wanes and illnesses silently afflict the body, confidence in life diminishes. People around us unconsciously begin to drift away. At this time, the attitudes and treatment received from our children become the final scenery on the journey of life. If children are filial, it is a stroke of great fortune, bestowing immense blessings and great destiny. However, if children are unfilial, physical and mental suffering seeps into our marrow and nerves. Ultimately, the journey of life concludes in a state of calling to the heavens without response and crying to the earth without answer. Whether it is during adolescence, young adulthood, middle age, or old age, if one encounters someone who cares genuinely, bringing happiness, joy, freedom, blessedness, and hope without expecting anything in return, that person is truly a saint, a bodhisattva, an angel. That must be you have burned some high incense in your past life, and blessings poured forth from your ancestral graves. Cherish this extraordinary affinity. If one is fortunate to encounter a group of individuals who selflessly give and contribute without making excessive demands, it is a tremendous blessing and the greatest care and blessing from heaven. It is worth treasuring for a lifetime. 失业大学生们的锦绣之路 The Splendid Path of Unemployed College Students. Xiefeng, April 25, 2023. Edited by Qin Yu. Happiness. Misery lurks beneath it. Misery. Happiness is to be found by its side. What I see is a bright future awaiting unemployed college students, a wonderful life that is incomparable. This is what I think, and I hope respected and dear unemployed college students can consider whether it makes sense. At this moment, you may be in a state of confusion, anxiety, uncertainty, restlessness, and disappointment. This is because you are carried along by the tides of the times. If you try to catch up with the tide or let others determine your fate, you will find yourselves in a sea of suffering. Not to mention reaching the other shore, you won't even be able to see where it is. First of all, you should understand that it is not your fault, nor your parents' fault, nor the fault of your school teachers and professors that you are unable to find a job. It is the fault of the times. Just like the blooming flowers wither in the spring, it is not the fault of the flowers, but the result of a cold spell. You may be inspired by another form of success studies, such as how to make a comeback, how to escape from the lower class, how to cross social barriers, and so on. I want to say that such motivation will only make your situation more difficult and miserable. Don't aspire to be superior to others, don't aim to live a life that others envy, don't expect to achieve financial freedom quickly, and don't anticipate starting your own business. These thoughts and actions are poison to life and will make everyone's existence even more unbearable. In front of you lies a life adorned with beautiful flowers. Endless is the sea of bitterness. Repent and you will find the shore. How do you repent? How do you reach the paradise-like shore of life? Once your roots establish yourself, the way will grow therefrom, and the way will guide you. Only seek to serve more people without desiring to earn more money. Reduce your material desires to the minimum. Live in a thatched hut, wear patched clothes, eat simple food, drink plain water. Refuse all luxury goods. If necessary, you can beg. Regard yourself as the most ordinary blade of grass in nature. Don't pursue romantic relationships, don't get married, don't start a family. Concentrate your efforts on establishing a foundation, inheriting the wisdom of the past, creating everlasting peace. Listen to the teachings of Jesus Christ, respect the Dharma of Shakyamuni Buddha, embrace the spirit of the Prophet Muhammad, and adopt the thoughts of the Taoist Saint Laozi. Regardless of how dark the world becomes, how fickle people's hearts are, how bleak the future appears, and how others may comment, dedicate yourself to unifying the world and ensuring the well-being of all people, allowing everyone to enjoy the blessings of life. Strive to make everyone possess everything while having nothing, and work hard to provide everyone with a means of livelihood. Regard labor as the foremost necessity of life. Adhere to this principle. The image of laborers is the most beautiful. Labor is the source of joy and happiness. Laborers possess the finest qualities. Engage in diligent work every day, create, and never allow yourself to be idle. Abandon laziness. Abandon getting something for nothing. Abandon seeking comfort and despising hard work, and abandon seeking quick gains. Sing the praises of all laborers in the world. Embrace unconventional thinking and indulge in wild imagination. Reversion is the action of the Tao. When the majority moves west, quickly move east. When the majority flock to the cities, quickly go to the countryside. When the majority prioritizes pragmatism, quickly prioritizes ideology. Whatever the majority criticize, quickly sing its praises, and vice versa. Distance yourself from money, power, fame, and profit, including distancing yourself from the wealthy, influential, famous, and powerful. Get closer to the most ordinary and common laboring masses. Reverse all the perspectives on life, values, worldview, outlook on life, and moral outlook that human society has established, and establish anew the 5 outlooks necessary for the highest level of civilized society. Then, you will discover the scenery of, just as the weary traveler despairs of finding a road, lo, a village appears, and the shade of willows and riotous flowers beckon. The path has been paved for you, and the future is definitely more beautiful than you imagine. If you find my words reasonable, follow the path I have laid out. If you think I am talking nonsense and misleading you, then continue the path you believe to be correct. 性的神力和魔力, The Power and Magic of Sex. Xiefeng, March 31st, 2021. Edited by Qin Yu. In the Bloodstream Sermon, Patriarch Bodhidharma said, "Nature, same as sex in Chinese, is Buddha. What propels society forward is sex. The universe is a dance of sex. The fulfillment of sex is the fulfillment of life and the fulfillment of the universe. In order for a person to become immortal, achieve enlightenment, and become divine, they must attain the fulfillment of sex. From the principle of Taiji, every life is polarized, either masculine or feminine. Only when the masculine and feminine unite can life become complete. The power of sex is immensely strong. It is impossible to transcend sex. It is self-deception. Sex possesses divine power and demonic power, which humans cannot control. Forcing control over sex will distort it and lead to sexual deviance. When sex is liberated, the world becomes peaceful, people become harmonious, and society becomes balanced and stable. Therefore, sexual freedom is both fundamental and ultimate freedom. Without sexual freedom, there is no personal freedom, no fairness or justice in society, and no possibility for individuals to become immortal, achieve enlightenment, or become divine. Thus, sex should bloom freely like wildflowers in the mountains and flow freely like rivers. Sex is amoral. Therefore, moral standards should not be imposed upon it. The following conclusions are derived from an insightful perspective on sex. They may be shocking, but I hope readers will not reject them based on outdated beliefs and moral standards. To determine their correctness, rational analysis and judgment should be employed. Respecting facts, examining them with a scientific spirit and logical abilities, and avoiding emotional reactions is crucial, as becoming emotional renders one unable to reason. The conclusion is as follows. Regarding anyone's sexual life and behavior, no matter how strange, bizarre, even absurd, or how promiscuous, licentious, immoral, or even deviant it may seem, as long as it does not harm others or society, as long as it is not forced and is willingly embraced by those involved, It should be tolerated and should not be condemned or even criminalized. For example, sexual intercourse between humans and animals, between a father and daughter, mother and son, grandparents and grandchildren, son-in-law and mother-in-law, and so on. For example, the fickleness of women and their involvement in multiple sexual relationships, the promiscuity of men and their involvement in multiple sexual relationships, and instances of infidelity within marriages, and so on. The myriad of unconventional sexual activities and patterns should be understood. Human society does not need to astonish or insult these individuals, nor should it hold them hostage to morality. I solemnly declare that I do not endorse the aforementioned sexual behaviors, but I can understand them. Those who have a full stomach have no idea how it feels to be hungry. The wealthy cannot truly experience the hardships and helplessness of the poor. Those with a full stomach cannot set standards for those who are hungry, and the wealthy cannot dictate norms for the poor. This is similar to how lions and tigers cannot establish behavioral guidelines for zebras and gazelles, and wolves cannot set boundaries for sheep. When the powerful drive of sex erupts, the best approach is to satisfy sexual desires. When satisfaction cannot be achieved, people will seek various ways to fulfill their intense sexual cravings. People do not desire to engage in sexual intercourse with animals. However, if conditions for sexual intimacy with humans are not present, they may resort to releasing sexual energy through intercourse with animals. If even that condition is unavailable, individuals may engage in sexual relations with their own daughters, sons, grandsons, granddaughters, uncles, aunts, mothers-in-law, nephews, nieces, and so on. As for infidelity or sexual relationships between masters and disciples, teachers and students, these are already considered quite normal phenomena. In the world of women, sex workers are a group of extraordinary women because they provide countless men with sexual fusion and satisfaction. They are considered great because they adhere to the principle that the higher the degree of shared experience, the greater the value. Therefore, it can be logically deduced that women who engage in sexual relationships with more men and men who engage in sexual relationships with more women should be affirmed and should not be subjected to condemnation or persecution. Human beings should prioritize reality. Once individuals reach maturity, they enter a stage of sexual needs. Maximizing the acquisition of sexual energy not only leads to happy and fulfilling lives for each person, but also promotes a harmonious and stable society that progresses toward civilization. The prerequisite for human civilization is sexual freedom. Without sexual freedom, human civilization cannot be achieved. Sex is a form of energy and a resource that is inexhaustible. However, when individuals monopolize sexual resources, the resource becomes particularly scarce. Once it becomes scarce, it is inevitable that animal mating and incestuous behavior cannot be eradicated, and the trading of sex cannot be avoided, which leads to troubles, anxieties, pains, and even crimes. Of course, the more sexual partners one has and the higher the frequency, the higher the risk of contracting sexually transmitted diseases, including HIV/AIDS. This negative consequence can be addressed through a program, such as requiring sexual health certificates for sexually mature individuals. This is achievable. However, it is not appropriate to abstain from sexual activities solely because there is a risk of contracting sexually transmitted diseases, just as one does not stop eating because eating can cause various illnesses. Life is like a dream. All space directions are void. We should have full experiences and live our life to the most so that we won't have regrets when we leave the earth. Being satisfied and dying blissfully is better than being consumed by worries and regrets. 一求64智论人类生存模式 One Earth, 64 Systems. On the Mode of Human Survival. Xiefeng. April 13th, 2021. Edited by Qin Yu. Inspired by the concept, One Country, Three Systems of Mr. Li Liangbin, who is from Jinshi Province, let us explore the future mode of human survival. The most ideal life mode for humanity in the future is the Xiefeng-style communism. However, before that, we can implement the One Earth, 64 Systems as a transitional mode. The so-called One Earth, 64 Systems implies that there can exist 64 different life modes on Earth. Let's examine the following scenario. In a circle, there are cows, horses, donkeys, sheep, pigs, dogs, chickens, ducks, and geese. Due to their different habits, food preferences, and physical characteristics, conflicts, arguments, and fights often arise between them. Chickens, ducks, and geese often complain that sheep, pigs, and dogs trampled on their eggs. Sheep, pigs, and dogs frequently lament that cows, horses, and donkeys snatch their food. Cows, horses, and donkeys often grumble about chickens, ducks, and geese defecating in their feeding troughs. All the animals blame each other for excessive flatulence, making it unbearable for anyone. As a result, no one is leading a good life, and it becomes impossible to live under such circumstances. To solve the above problems, moral education is futile and ineffective. The best approach is to separate them and provide each animal with its own enclosed space, corresponding to their species. This way, we can avoid mutual complaints and torment. The human species has some similarities to the livestock mentioned above. Some people prefer the capitalist way of life, while others prefer the primitive tribal lifestyle, socialism, communism, anarchism, democracy, dictatorship, rice, noodles, meat-based diets, vegetarian diets, monogamy, polygamy, or polyandry. The list goes on. When individuals with diverse preferences are forced into the same mode, conflicts, arguments, and even physical fights are unavoidable. The way to eliminate contradictions and conflicts among individuals is to allow them to live in their respective spheres where they can find peace and happiness. Therefore, my idea is the One Earth, 64 Systems approach. For example, all white people could gather in Europe, black people in Africa, and yellow people in Asia. This would eliminate racial discrimination. Those who prefer the capitalist system could come together to engage in capitalism, while those who prefer the socialist system could come together to practice socialism, and those who prefer the communist system could come together to pursue communism. Similarly, those who embrace Christianity could gather in one place, those who follow Islam could gather in another place, and those who practice Buddhism could gather in yet another place, and so on. Likewise, those who enjoy noodles could eat noodles, those who prefer rice could eat rice, those who enjoy meat-based diets could come together, and those who prefer vegetarian diets could gather as well. Those who prefer monogamy could form their own society, those who prefer polygamy or polyandry could form their own society, and those who advocate for a society without marriage could form their own community for shared relationships. In this way, just like providing separate spaces for cows, horses, donkeys, sheep, pigs, dogs, chickens, ducks, and geese, humans no longer need to argue and fight with each other due to differences in personality, interests, and so on. Why 64 systems? Because human survival requires 64 elements, and none can be omitted. Do you see it? Cows, horses, donkeys, sheep, pigs, dogs, chickens, ducks, and geese are arguing together without any value or meaning, and their arguments will never end. Arguments between humans are also without value or meaning. The best solution is to live our own lives according to our own preferences. Can the above ideals be realized? Certainly not, because those in power won't allow it. Therefore, this proposal is only meant to bring some amusement to everyone when they have enough to eat and drink and have nothing else to do. 把每件小事做完美，你就是非凡之人. Completing every little thing perfectly makes you extraordinary. Xiefeng. April 23, 2021. Edited by Qin Yu. As someone in their 60s, I have some life insights and experiences to share with young people, which will undoubtedly benefit you greatly. The most valuable insight and experience from my half-century of life is that by completing every little thing you do perfectly, you become an extraordinary individual, and your life path will only grow wider as you continue. What are the small things you should strive for perfection in? The answer is that every small thing you do each day should be worth doing perfectly. Here are some examples. When interacting with others, whether serving or cooperating with them, always make an earnest effort to bring joy and satisfaction to others. This is especially true when dealing with your superiors, elders, or those who excel in their careers. Let them know that you respect them and are willing to serve them. When performing tasks, never have even the slightest hint of complaints or half-heartedness. When collaborating with others, be willing to give more and enjoy less, making the experience comfortable and valuable for the other person. When interacting with your blood relatives, such as parents, children, siblings, and other relatives, or with your spouse, in-laws, and their relatives, do not focus on personal interests. Instead, give your utmost effort to do things well to the best of your ability. Never expect rewards. Simply express your best qualities and make everyone feel secure and comfortable when they are with you. Most young people will work for private employers or become government employees as civil servants. Regardless of the character of your boss or immediate superiors, regardless of your salary and other benefits, and regardless of whether the working environment satisfies you or not, you should strive to perform the tasks you are engaged in to the highest possible level. Never think that you are working for your boss or the country, or that your efforts are not worth it. Either quit and leave, or put your heart and soul into doing the job well. Whether in interpersonal relationships or in your work, always remember that there are one or several pairs of eyes constantly watching you. Even when you are alone, there are eyes watching. This is the secret I discovered after becoming a guide in Life Genuine. Moreover, be aware that the people watching you are not those of lower or equal level to you. They are always more advanced and outstanding than you. They are the ones who determine whether your future will be smooth. If you fail to do small things well, your path will become narrower as you go. But if you excel in every little thing, your path will widen as you move forward. Every word spoken and every action taken by a person is recorded in the detention information space. Even if tens of thousands of years pass or the Earth disappears, everything recorded in the detention information space will not disappear. Once a word is uttered or an action is taken, it is impossible to change it. Nowadays, the online world and platforms like WeChat provide a vast space for us to showcase our talents. However, we must be vigilant because every word we speak in the online world or in WeChat groups, etc., will influence our future. Every word and every action pave the way for our future. Speaking perfectly and doing every little thing perfectly paves the way to heaven, while speaking and acting in an ugly way paves the way to hell. As I said before, what information you input into the world determines what results the world will give you. Therefore, be cautious with every word you speak and put your heart and soul into completing every little thing perfectly. Every word we speak and every action we take fully reflects our inner world and life qualities. It is important to be aware that sometimes a single word we speak or a small thing we do can change the trajectory of someone's life. All the words we say and the things we do collectively shape the trajectory of our lives. Extraordinary lives are those who complete every little thing perfectly. 不幸是生命旅途上转折的起点. Misfortune is the starting point of turning points on the journey of life. Xiefeng, January 9th, 2022. Edited by Qin Yu. As a guide in Life Genuine, I understand that Life Genuine members who follow the guide to climb the peak of life know that whether it's the articles I write or myself, everything is presented truthfully and transparently to the public. I have nothing to hide or conceal. I am transparent. I am real. There is no hypocrisy, no artificiality, no pretense, no schemes, no tactics. What I say may not be completely correct, and what I do may not be flawless, but what I say and do is a genuine expression of my true self. I speak out about the insights, experiences, and viewpoints I have gained on my journey of life, hoping that they may have some value as references. I experienced the years of hunger in 1958 and 1960 and almost starved to death. That was misfortune. However, the result of this misfortune is that I have found every meal I eat in my life to be delicious, whether it's the sour taste of Northern cuisine, the spicy taste of Central cuisine, or the sweet taste of Southern cuisine. Whether it's Chinese, Western, or African cuisine, they are all enjoyable. This is because I have a belief in my heart that simply having enough food to fill our stomachs in life is happiness. In 1980, I studied at Zhangjiago Geological Technical School, specializing in being a fitter. During one semester, I was assigned to the automotive repair workshop to learn car mechanics. The master had 2 apprentices, and one day the master asked his 2 apprentices to let me practice driving by taking the car to the school playground. The older apprentice explained to me how to operate the car and then got out of the car. However, the younger apprentice grabbed the steering wheel and started the car, practicing without ever letting me drive. During the practice, students from the fitter class and mechanic class came to the playground for physical education, and the younger apprentice was driving in a reckless manner. It was unfortunate for me that the younger apprentice didn't let me drive, but this misfortune saved me from disaster. Every time I think of that scene sitting in the driver's seat on the school playground, watching the younger apprentice nervously practicing driving, I am grateful that fate didn't let me drive that day. If the person holding the steering wheel had been me instead of the younger apprentice, I could have driven and hit many classmates, with terrible consequences.